Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve. Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet.
Gunsmoke. The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Well, as we get into summertime here, we will have episodes today of The Whistler and Jeff Regan Investigator, both from June 25th, 1950, 74 years ago. An episode of the summer series starring Ilona Massey, Top Secret, also from this date, 74 years ago. An episode of Suspense from 1961, Call Me at Half Past, and an episode of Superman. That's all coming up on this Tuesday. This is the 25th day of June, 177th day of the year, 189 days remaining until we get to 2025. Happy birthday, Virginia. You became the 10th state to ratify the Constitution on this date in 1788. The Battle of the Little Bighorn on this date in 1876, and the death of Major General George Armstrong Custer. France formally surrendered to Nazi Germany on this date in 1940, and the Diary of Anne Frank published on this date in 1947. Long-Haired Hare, released in theaters starring Bugs Bunny and Giovanni Jones. And in 1950, the beginning of the Korean War with the invasion of the South by the North. In 1973, the Senate Select Committee on Presidential Campaign Activities, looking onto the Watergate affair, interviewed the president's former counsel, John Dean.
I gave considerable thought to how I would present this situation to the president and try to make as dramatic a presentation as I could to tell him how serious I thought the situation was that the cover-up continue. I began by telling the president that there was a cancer growing on the presidency, and that if the cancer was not removed, the president himself would be killed by it. I also told him that it was important that this cancer be removed immediately because it was growing more deadly every day.
Dean testifying that President Nixon was personally involved in the cover-up of the break-in of Democrat campaign headquarters at the Watergate Hotel. In 1975, Prime Minister Indira Gandhi declared an emergency in India, suspending civil liberties and elections. In 1981, Microsoft restructured to become an incorporated business in its home state of Washington. It was on this date in 1982, President Reagan's Secretary of State Alexander Haig resigned.
In recent months, it has become clear to me that the foreign policy on which we embarked together was shifting from that careful course which we laid out. Under these circumstances, I feel it necessary to request that you accept my resignation.
Haig referring to growing differences over foreign policy in general, the Middle East in particular. President Reagan accepted Alexander Haig's resignation and nominated George Shultz to succeed him. 25 years after he was supposed to have graduated from high school, Billy Joel received his diploma at Hicksville High School on Long Island on this date in 1992.
Mom, don't worry, because now I'm going to finally pull myself out of this dead-end job I had. Start working on a career with a real future.
Yes, no more dead-end jobs for Joel. The 43-year-old singer-songwriter didn't graduate with his class in 1967 because, as the school's principal Richard Hogan explained, he was missing a single credit in English. He was working as a musician and overslept, missing an English exam. But Billy Joel graduated from high school on this date in 1992. The Khobar Towers bombing on this date in 1996 left 19 U.S. servicemen dead in Saudi Arabia. In 1997, an unmanned Progress spacecraft collided with the Russian space station Mir. And in 1998, in Clinton versus the City of New York, the United States Supreme Court declared the Line Item Veto Act of 1996 unconstitutional. That has never been resolved, and I have to tell you, it's an act that should be, well, I hate getting too political, but, you got to have the ability to do a line item veto, and it should have been prepared, and Congress needs to prepare it as a constitutional amendment, and they won't do that because it overrides their perceived authority. The final episode of Another World aired on NBC on this date in 1999, ending its 35-year run. And released on this date in 2004, Michael Moore's controversial Bush-bashing film Fahrenheit 9/11.
With everything going wrong, he did what any of us would do. He went on vacation.
The hard left film did more to coarsen the dialogue between the left and the right than anything talk radio did before or since. In 2022, 2 people killed, 21 more injured after a gunman opened fire at 3 sites in Oslo, Norway, in a suspected Islamist anti-LGBTQ plus attack. I get amazed at the lines that people set these days. It really does get very strange. The Queen Consort of Louis XII of France, Mary Tudor, died on this date in 1533. Songwriter Johnny Mercer also passed on this date. Supreme Court Chief Justice Warren Burger passing on this date. Explorer Jacques Cousteau also passing away, as did politician Lester Maddox. On the same date, Farrah Fawcett and Michael Jackson, 2 icons, passing. And Patrick Macnee, the English actor, the Avengers, not the superhero show, the spy show of the 60s. Now, born on this date in history, we see George Orwell, also Harold Melvin of Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, celebrity chef Anthony Bourdain, and singer George Michael, all born on this date.
Hi, this is Jeff Foxworthy. It is now time for the birthday announcements. The following people are now officially older than dirt.
Well, another icon celebrates this day. We remembered Betty White so well as she approached 100. Well, it's the countdown year for June Lockhart. The star of Lassie and Lost in Space turns 99 today. The man who did it before Blondie did, Eddie Floyd, knock on wood, 87 years old today. Singer Carly Simon, nobody does it better. She is 80 today. Best known for his role on Good Times, Jimmy Walker, 77 years old today. I will say this about Jimmy Walker. He was a funny man on screen and on stage. In person, not a particularly nice person. I can say that because I dealt with him at the Riviera Hotel, the late great Riviera Hotel, when he was performing in the comedy clubs there, and he just offstage had such an acerbic, nasty personality. It was hard to really enjoy him after that. Comedian Ricky Gervais is 63, and from Freaks and Geeks and ER, Linda Cardinelli is 49. Those just a few of the people who celebrate the 25th day of June as their birthday. And if this happens to be your birthday...
Hi, we're the 4 freshmen, and we just want to say, Happy birthday to you!
And our featured day today is Sunday, June 25th, 1950, the date in which war broke out in the Koreas, the civil war between North and South Korea. And that Sunday, we will have feature programs of The Whistler, Jeff Regan Investigator, and Top Secret. Those programs all from that Sunday, 74 years ago today. That'll be coming up first with The Whistler and that West Coast program here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. As we said, it's not just classic radio, it's history.
Hear Santa's sleigh bells tinkling sound while carol singers gather round. Swirling snowflakes fluff the ground. What a perfect Christmas! Like Old Man Winter's cherry nose, each tiny face just beams and glows. tucked in bed with snuggly toes. What a perfect Christmas. Here's a cute fat doll, a bright red bike. You'll get what you asked for, maybe. Here's a robe for Dad, I hope he'll like, and mittens for the baby. These other gifts beneath our tree were mailed in time and properly, the zip code plainly marked to see. Oh, what a perfect, what a perfect, what a perfect Christmas.
Yes, your Christmas will just be perfect if you remember to use zip codes on all your Christmas cards. If you mail them right now and you put the zip code on them, they might get there in time for Christmas. On this Tuesday, 25th day of June edition of the Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox podcast, we look at our date of history today. Our feature date is Sunday, June 25th, 1950, and we will begin with an episode of the West Coast program, The Whistler. This episode is entitled Manhunt. It's from June 25th, 1950.
And now, stay tuned for the mystery program that is unique among all mystery programs. Because even when you know who's guilty, you always receive a startling surprise at the final curtain. In the Signal Oil program, The Whistler. Signal, the famous Go Farther gasoline, invites you to sit back and enjoy another strange story by The Whistler.
I am the Whistler, and I know many things, for I walk by night. I know many strange tales hidden in the hearts of men and women who have stepped into the shadows. Yes, I know the nameless terrors of which they dare not speak.
And now, for the Signal Oil Company, The Whistler's strange story, Manhunt.
For over an hour, the man in the trench coat had been standing at the window of the penthouse atop the Chase Weatherly apartment building, staring down into the rain-swept street below. The panic, the fear was gone now, and his mind was functioning smoothly, efficiently. The situation was no longer completely hopeless, because out of the nightmare, a solution had emerged. A bold, dangerous solution. A fantastic plan, really, but it could work. And for him, there was no choice. He had to take this one chance for survival, his own survival. Finally, the man turned, hurried across the room, stepped out into the corridor, closed the door behind him with a gloved hand, and walked to the elevator. Riding down to the lobby, he scarcely heard the words of the operator. His thoughts were concerned only with the plan he was soon to set into motion. His big gamble was almost underway.
Yeah, Mr. Stevens, we sure been having lousy weather for June. Last month wasn't anything to brag about either. You understand, Mr. Stevens, it don't bother me none, the weather. Only Mr. Hotchkiss, he does.
What did you say, Danny?
Mr. Hotchkiss, the gent in 403. You know who he is.
Oh, yes.
Always he keeps nagging me about the weather. So this is California. Huh. Every time I see him, he gives it to me. So this is California. Huh. So why don't he go back to Florida? Someday I'm going to tell him off. I'm going to tell him good. I'm going to...
Good night, Danny.
Oh, yeah. Good night. Good night, Mr. Stevens.
You hurry across the lobby, and as you reach the entrance and step out into the street, you turn. See the elevator operator settle down in a chair behind the lobby desk, spread open the evening newspaper. It's only a matter of time now, isn't it, Mr. Stevens, before he learns your secret. A secret that may cost your life. But it's too late to turn back now. A block away on a quiet side street, you slip out of the broad-shouldered, padded trench coat, toss it into the luggage compartment of your car. You remove the heavy horn-rimmed glasses you've been wearing. Then you drive across town to your own apartment. The card beside your door reads, Mr. and Mrs. Clifford Graham. Chan, your houseboy, greets you as you step into the hall and close the door behind you.
Oh, good evening, Mr. Graham.
Hello, Chan.
Did you have dinner yet, Mr. Graham?
No, is Mrs. Graham around?
Oh, yes. Mrs. Graham waiting.
That you, Clifford?
Yes, dear.
Goodness, you are late today.
Well, I ran into an old friend, Alma. I had a few drinks.
We're due with the Ellisons at 9, you know.
The Ellisons?
Forgot, didn't you?
It's completely slipped my mind. Look, Alma.
You have a headache. At least that's what I'm supposed to tell the Ellisons.
You don't mind, do you?
No, I suppose not. Of course, you know I'm not too keen on going over there myself, but really one of us should go.
Yes, I know.
I owe it to Eleanor. After all, she's been so sweet. Oh, Clifford, have you seen tonight's paper?
No.
The society page, darling. A photograph taken at the polo matches Saturday. We're in it. So were the Fallons. Madge, Eleanor. She called me about it this afternoon. It was such a surprise. I had no idea the photograph had been taken, had you?
No, I didn't know, Alma.
It's not very flattering of you, really. But not good of me, I thought. Quite a good likeness. The paper's there on the living room table, Clifford.
All right, Alma.
Oh, well, I really should be getting dressed. You sure you won't change your mind about going to the Ellisons?
No, you run along.
You walk into the living room, pick up the newspaper, and stare at the photograph again. Alma's right, isn't she, Cliff? It isn't a good likeness of you, yet it's good enough for Danny, the elevator operator at the Chase Weatherly, and Mr. Hotchkiss. You're certain they'll see it. Identify you as the man they know as Stevens. You wait until your wife, Alma, is gone. Then you hurry downstairs to your car. And 15 minutes later, you make a key move in the dangerous plan you've evolved. You're at police headquarters telling your story to Lieutenant Powell.
You see, Lieutenant, I received a phone call this afternoon at my office. I'm with the Pacific Wholesale Drug Company general manager. My wife owns the firm. See, her father,
Go on, Mr. Graham.
Well, the call was from a woman. She said her name was Julie Thompson, that she had some information for me.
And just what was this information?
And she said someone was going to blackmail me. Apparently, she was supposed to take part in the scheme somehow, but she must have changed her mind, decided she wanted no part of it.
I see.
And I'm supposed to meet her in the park tomorrow morning, the north entrance. She's to explain everything to me.
And naturally, she expects to be paid for the tip-off?
Oh, naturally.
All right, Mr. Graham. I'll have a couple of my men there at the park in the morning. We'll pick her up when she contacts you.
Thank you, Lieutenant.
By the way, did she name your would-be blackmailer?
Yes. Yes, she did. The man's name is Stevens.
It's done, isn't it, Cliff? You've set your bold plan into motion. It's a big chance you've taken, a long shot, but you've taken it. And now there's nothing to do but wait. Early the following morning, as you're getting dressed to keep your appointment at the park.
Excuse, Mr. Graham.
Yes, what is it, Chan?
Telephone, police, Lieutenant Powell.
Oh? All right, Chan, thanks. Yes, Lieutenant.
You won't have to keep that appointment in the park after all, Mr. Graham.
What do you mean?
We've already found Julie Thompson. I'm calling from her place now. Better come right over.
Why, of course, Lieutenant. Where are you?
The Chase Weatherly, penthouse. Julie Thompson's been murdered.
Next Sunday, we expect to be able to announce on the Whistler winners of the Buick and next 12 prizes in Signal's big $10,000 contest. Meantime, I have good news for all of you who are going to be needing new tires in order to enjoy a safer, carefree vacation trip. For only $9.95 plus taxes and your old tire, you can now buy a genuine Lee tire in the popular 600 or 640 by 16 size at Signal service stations. Now, don't confuse this $9.95 Lee Staghound tire with ordinary low-priced tires, in which quality is cut in order to cut cost. All the materials that go into Lee's Staghound tire are exactly the same quality as those in the Lee Deluxe. In fact, the only difference is that the Lee Deluxe tire is somewhat heavier and has a thicker tread. That's why Lee can back this new tire with a double guarantee, not only against defective materials and workmanship, but also against road hazards. All this quality for $9.95. So remember, if you want to pay less and still be sure of top quality, the tire to get is the Lee Staghound tire, and the place to get it at a Signal service station.
Yes, Cliff. Julie Thompson is dead. You killed her, didn't you? Because she'd seen your photograph in the newspaper. Found out that you were really Clifford Graham, wealthy socialite. That Fred Stevens was just a name you'd used with her. She was going to blackmail you. In a moment of blind rage, you lashed out with your fists. And as she fell, her head struck the edge of the desk. It was all over in an instant, wasn't it? And you realized that you were trapped. The police would soon be looking for the man known as Stevens. And the newspaper photograph, Cliff. The elevator operator would certainly see it. Mr. Hotchkiss, too. And they'd identify you, Clifford Graham, as the mysterious Mr. Stevens. And then suddenly an idea hit you. A big gamble, but you decided to take it. Now your bold plan is in full motion. And you're on your way to the dead woman's penthouse at the Chase Weatherly as the police lieutenant requested. And when you arrive, an officer leads you through the living room, crowded with men from homicide, and takes you out to the sun deck where Lieutenant Powell is waiting, last night's newspaper in his hand.
Sit down, Mr. Graham.
Thank you, Lieutenant.
You've seen this, I suppose?
Oh, yes, it was taken at the polo matches. Not a very good likeness, I'm afraid.
Sergeant, bring Rizzo in, will you?
Right, Lieutenant.
Elevator operator here brought this photograph of you to my attention this morning, Mr. Graham.
Oh?
Mm-hmm. Says it looks a lot like Stevens.
What?
That's what he says. He ought to know. Stevens visited Miss Thompson regularly here.
You mean that you... No, now, really, Lieutenant, that's ridiculous.
Is it?
Why, of course, I've never set foot in this building before. Now, look here, Lieutenant, are you serious?
I'm not in the habit of being funny, Mr. Graham.
Lieutenant, this is utterly fantastic.
Let's see what Rizzo has to say about it.
Here's Rizzo, sir. What can I do for you, Lieutenant?
Rizzo, this is Mr. Graham.
Oh. Yeah.
Stand up, will you, Mr. Graham? Now, take a look at him, Rizzo. Take a very good look.
It's come, hasn't it, Cliff? The moment you've been expecting. Brought face to face with Danny, the elevator operator, and you're certain he'll identify you as Stevens. For a full minute, he stands there staring at you. And then a strange expression spreads slowly over his face.
Well, Rizzo?
No, Lieutenant. This isn't Mr. Stevens.
You're sure?
I'm sure.
What about this picture in the newspaper?
Well, there's a resemblance, all right, but this man here...
Mr. Graham?
Yeah. Mr. Graham. He's not Mr. Stevens.
You're shocked, aren't you, Cliff? You were certain Danny would positively identify you as Mr. Stevens. And you were prepared to fight the situation from there. But now Danny Rizzo has said no, definitely no, that you are not Stevens. Puzzles you, doesn't it, Cliff? You wonder if you've really fooled Danny or if he's up to something. After he's gone, there are more questions by the lieutenant. And then finally someone else is brought to the sun deck.
Sit down, Mr. Hotchkiss.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Lieutenant.
Mr. Hotchkiss, this is Mr. Graham.
Oh, well, how do you do, Mr. Graham?
Something wrong?
Why, did you say Mr.
Graham, yeah.
But he...
He looks like Stevens?
Well, yes, he does. Something like Stevens.
Just something?
Well, now, let me look at him more closely. Yes, there is a resemblance, all right, but I don't know. I remember Stevens as different somehow. Of course, I only saw Stevens a couple of times.
Ever speak to him?
No, I never did.
I see. Did Miss Thompson ever mention Stevens to you?
Yes, she did.
Let me see. That was several months ago. She had a few friends in one night for cocktails. She'd been kind enough to invite me.
Mm-hmm. What'd she have to say about him?
Well, it was rather strange. I don't know why she picked on me. Told me what she did. I suppose it was on her mind. She had to tell somebody. Well, anyway, we were standing out here, and all of a sudden she just started talking about him. She and Stevens had been married.
Married?
New Orleans, 1940. That's where she met him. Oh, it only lasted a few months. He took what money she had and walked out on her. She hadn't seen him again in all those years.
Go on.
Well, then, let me see now. I suppose it was a week later. That would be about 2 months ago. I ran into Miss Thompson downstairs in the lobby. She told me she'd just bumped into Stevens on the street that afternoon. And she seemed very happy.
And you say she met him again about 2 months ago?
Yes, that's right, Lieutenant.
And after that, this Stevens started coming around, huh?
Yes, I saw him several times in the elevator. Once or twice with Miss Thompson. But I'd say that Stevens was bigger, heavier than Mr. Graham here. And Stevens wore glasses, too, the heavy, horn-rimmed kind.
I see.
Lieutenant.
Yes, Sergeant.
DA on the phone.
All right. Well, I guess that's all for now, Mr. Hotchkiss. Thanks.
Yes, of course, Lieutenant. Of course.
And, Mr. Graham, if you don't mind, I'd like to have you stick around here for a while.
All right, Lieutenant.
Be right back.
The relief pours over you, Cliff, surges through your mind and body. Even though you know as you walk out of there a half hour later that you're far from in the clear, you've apparently convinced Mr. Hotchkiss that there's still the puzzling attitude of Danny Rizzo, the elevator operator. Why did he say you were not Stevens? You come closer to the answer where he's concerned a few days later. It's while you and Alma and the plant manager at the drug firm are making an inspection tour. The three of you are walking through the new warehouse.
It is a fine warehouse, Clifford. This was Father's dream, you know. Expansion, improvement. Oh, he'd be so proud of you, Clifford.
I hope so, dear. Of course, I'd much rather you were proud of me, you know.
You know very well I am. You've been a wonderful manager. Oh, forgive us, Martin. We'll save our personal conversation for later.
Oh, not at all, Mrs. Graham. I don't blame you for being proud. We all are. I'm getting quite a kick out of this new warehouse myself.
And you're putting it to use right away, aren't you, Martin?
Yes, we are, Mrs. Graham. Of course, we had to hire some new help, but this new arrangement will... Is there something wrong, Mr. Graham?
No. No, Martin, no. That new man over there, moving crates.
Oh, that young fellow. Fine worker. Replaced Sullivan. I practically had to hire him. He told me you'd send him to see me.
I sent him. Oh, yes.
I'll say this for him. He is a hustler.
Is anything wrong, Clifford?
No, dear, no, of course not. I remember now. It's just that, excuse me. I'll catch up with you. I just want to say hello to the young man. Hello, Danny.
Oh, Mr. Graham. Hi.
I just found out that you were working for me.
Yeah. Yeah, this sure beats the ups and downs in the elevator at the Chase Weatherly.
You decided to quit your job over there, did you?
Uh-huh. I decided to quit over there.
You like your work here?
Sure. Oh, I know this is heavy stuff I'm doing right now, but I've got a feeling working for you, Mr. Graham. A feeling that I'll go places fast.
I see.
You see, Mr. Graham, I'm a fellow with lots of ambition. I want to go up in the world. At the Chase Weatherly, I could only go up as far as the penthouse. Then I'd have to come down again.
Yes, well,
Ambition's a good thing, don't you think?
Yes, Danny. Usually a very good thing. But, hadn't you better get back to work?
Oh, sure. Sure, Mr. Graham. Right away.
And there you have it, Cliff. Danny Rizzo's reasons for telling the police lieutenant that you were not Stevens. Talking with Danny just now, you begin to get his idea. Unless he goes places working for you, you're certain he'll identify you as Mr. Stevens, link you to the murder of Julie Thompson in that penthouse apartment. You wonder when something is going to break. Only nothing does. And then one day the police lieutenant drops by your office.
Just figured you'd like to know how it was going, Mr. Graham. And it isn't. The case just isn't going anyplace. Only standing still.
You say that you've had no news of Stevens, can't even get a clue to his whereabouts?
I say more than that, Mr. Graham. The district attorney, he's got a pet theory.
Oh?
He could be right. I don't know. He says that there isn't any Mr. Stevens. Never has been.
What could he possibly be insinuating with a statement like that?
Don't know. Just his theory. Who can say? At least right now.
You sent for me, Mr. Graham?
Yes, sit down, Danny.
Oh, sure.
Cigars. You can help yourself there.
Oh, yeah, well.
Danny, I'll get right to it. You know me as...
As Mr. Stevens? Sure, Mr. Graham. You going to ask me why I didn't tell the cops you were Mr. Stevens, that it?
No, I can assume. Like you said, you can go places with me, fast.
Check. Good cigars, Mr. Graham.
Danny, I'm going to play ball with you. No bluffing, tricks.
Swell.
You've got to help me some more. There's nothing difficult. But there's a situation that can spoil things for both of us. After all, if anything happens to me...
I'm way ahead of you, Mr. Graham. Just tell me what to do.
You mean that?
Sure. Say, these are nice cigars. Very nice. I like them very much.
Danny, Stevens must be brought back to life. I mean, he must be seen somewhere again. Preferably by that Mr. Hotchkiss.
Oh, that's easy. I know a place we can find him anytime.
Hotchkiss?
Uh-huh. A bar. Place where he takes on a nightcap every night.
Good. Very good. Now, listen to me, Danny. Listen close.
You set it all up swiftly, simply, don't you, Cliff? Danny seems to be perfectly cooperative. And if your plan goes smoothly, there'll be no more theories about Mr. Stevens. You and Danny are going to bring him to life just once more. The following evening at your apartment, with your wife Alma out visiting friends, you begin to set the plan in motion. First, some seemingly casual but firm instructions to your faithful, unsuspecting houseboy, Chan.
Chan, I'm going to bed early. I have a very bad headache.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Graham. Chan help?
Yes, you can. Chan, I don't want to be disturbed by anyone.
Oh, yes, Mr. Graham. No disturb. Headache. I fix. Nobody disturb you.
Thank you, Chan. Good night.
Night, Mr. Graham.
That's the first step, isn't it, Cliff? Establishing your presence in the apartment, making certain no one will enter your room. Because the second step is to lock your door, slip outside to the fire escape, and make your way unobserved to the alley where you've left your car. The trench coat and glasses you wore when posing as Mr. Stevens are in the back seat, and you put them on before you drive downtown. 15 minutes later, you're having a drink in the cocktail bar Danny told you about.
Drink okay, mister?
Oh, fine, yes. It's just right. Say, could you tell me, is there a good hotel near here?
The Alton's good as any. Small but clean, fair prices.
Sounds like just what I want.
Excuse me, an old customer.
You almost smile at the timing, don't you, Cliff? Yes, because the old customer who's come in, seating himself at the far end of the bar, is Mr. Hotchkiss. And you're not at all surprised when he stares at you, gets up from his stool quickly, and hurries out without ordering.
How do you like that guy?
Something wrong?
First time he's ever acted like that. Walked out without speaking. Didn't even look at me. And he's been coming in here ever since.
Something's on his mind, perhaps. That hotel again, the Alton, you say?
That's right, mister. 1 block down the street.
Thanks. Night.
Night, mister.
You leave the bar in time to see Mr. Hotchkiss hurrying into a drugstore across the street. You know exactly what he'll do, don't you, Cliff? Yes. Head for a phone booth and call the police. Tell them he's seen Mr. Stevens again. At the Alton Hotel, a block down the street, you sign the register as Mr. Stevens. Go upstairs to a room. That makes it complete, doesn't it? All but the final step. The call from Danny Rizzo. Danny, who's stationed in the drugstore watching. And he calls right on schedule.
Yes.
The cops just left the bar. Better get out of that room.
Check.
Out the back way, huh? I'll have your car waiting in the alley.
Good, good. It's worked perfectly, hasn't it, Danny? Yes. Couldn't have been better.
Where shall we eat? Where shall we spend the night? Those are two questions you'll be asking again and again if you do any traveling this summer. Well, to help you find happy answers to these questions, Signal Oil Dealers are offering free a 20-page booklet of selected eating and lodging places in the West. Called Lane's Guide, this handy booklet is packed with useful information. It tells, for instance, whether the lodging place has facilities for swimming. In the case of motels, it states whether kitchens are available. And so that you can keep within your budget, it states whether the prices are low, medium, or high. Naturally, no pocket-sized publication could possibly contain every good eating and lodging place. But Lane's Guide, which is prepared by an independent travel organization, includes a representative selection in 350 cities and towns throughout 16 western states. We hope you'll enjoy this latest step in Signal Oil Company's continuing efforts to make your motoring miles more pleasant. Remember, a copy of Lane's Guide is yours free while the supply lasts at any Signal service station.
Yes, Cliff, it's working perfectly. You know you've managed to convince Mr. Hotchkiss that there is a man named Stevens. You know he's called the police and will tell them. But they won't find you here in this room of the Alton Hotel where you registered as Stevens. No. By the time the police arrive, you'll be out and on your way home to resume life as Cliff Graham, only on a much safer plane. There'll be no more doubts that a Mr. Stevens does exist, even if he has eluded the police. And you'll go free of any suspicion for your murder of Julie Thompson. But you must move swiftly, Cliff. Out the door of the hotel into the corridor and toward a window that will lead to the fire escape. And then...
Hold it, Stevens.
Mm-hmm. Hotchkiss.
Yes, that's right, Stevens. I came over here ahead of the police. The bartender told me you'd probably be here.
What are you going to do?
What do people usually do with guns, Stevens? They shoot things, don't they? Well, I'm going to shoot the thing that murdered Julie Thompson.
Julie?
Yes. I love Julie Thompson. And she loved me before you took her away from me.
Now, look, Mr. Hotchkiss, you're making a mistake. I'm not Stevens.
I saw the register downstairs, Stevens.
No, my name is Graham. Cliff Graham. Please, you must believe me.
No. I wanted to make certain I got the right man. And so I called Mr. Graham at home just now, talked to his houseboy. He said Mr. Graham is in his room this minute. Has a sick headache. Left word not to be disturbed. So you see, Stevens, I know those horn-rimmed glasses and trench coat anywhere.
But
I swore I'd get the man that killed Julie. I've been carrying this gun ever since you killed her. Hoping to run into you, Stevens.
You'll never get away with this. The police are on their way here now.
You forget, I called the police. I want them to take me. I love Julie. And you killed her. I don't care anymore, you see, about anything. Except this.
Stop it! Hotchkiss,
Goodbye, Mr. Stevens.
Let that whistle be your signal for the Signal Oil program, The Whistler, each Sunday night at this same time. Brought to you by the Signal Oil Company, marketers of Signal gasoline and motor oil, and fine quality automotive accessories. And don't forget, a free 20-page travel guide suggesting where to eat and sleep, as well as free road maps, are yours for the asking at any Signal service station. Featured in tonight's story were Bill Foreman, John Daner, Mary Lansing, and Howard McNair. The Whistler was produced and directed by George W. Allen, with story by Steve Hampton, music by Wilbur Hatch, and was transmitted to our troops overseas by the Armed Forces Radio Service. The Whistler is entirely fictional, and all characters portrayed on The Whistler are also fictional. Any similarity of names or resemblance to persons living or dead is purely coincidental. Remember, at this same time next Sunday, another strange tale by The Whistler. Marvin Miller speaking for the Signal Oil Company. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
As it aired at 7:30 Pacific Time on the west coast of the United States, the Signal Oil program The Whistler on this Sunday, June 25th, 1950, 74 years ago today. And that's our feature day today, Sunday, June 25th, 1950. We're going to look at a lot of this from the West Coast perspective today, since the first two shows we have are from the West Coast of the United States, and from the CBS West Coast Network. Okay, we'll take a look at the headlines here in just a moment from that Sunday 74 years ago, as Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox continues in just a moment.
My true love's many faces, many places you see. The city, the country, the sea. Wherever my true love may take it to be. Now zip code will find her for me. Wherever my true love may take it to be. Now zip code will find her for me. Oh, zip code, please find her for me.
And the true love is, of course, the zip code, don't you know? Alrighty, as we mentioned earlier, we are looking today at the west coast of the United States. The Signal Oil program, of course, The Whistler. We'll have Jeff Regan Investigator up in just a moment. But here are some of the headlines from that Sunday 74 years ago, June 25th, 1950. And, of course, the focus on the breakout of war in Korea. The Russian boycotted UN Security Council condemned North Korea's invasion of South Korea as a breach of the peace yesterday and ordered an immediate cessation of hostilities and a withdrawal of invading troops to the north-south border along the 38th parallel. The vote was 9-0. Yugoslavia abstained. Egypt, India, and Norway abstained on the Yugoslav resolution. Immediately after the vote, President Serb Benji Rao adjourned the council until Tuesday, which it will consider first-hand reports from the UN's Korean Commission. President Truman and his top diplomatic and military leaders conferred for more than 3 hours last night on how to help communists threaten South Korea, but announced no decision. Already, Truman and his top-level aides had ordered rush shipments of arms urgently needed by the South Korean army fighting back against an invasion by North Korean communists. A U.S. fighter plane seen to engage in an aerial duel with a Russian-made plane over Seoul. The exchange observed by about 10 people who were having lunch in the U.S. Embassy. They said an American Mustang drove off a Yak-3 fighter after the latter, presumably from North Korea, dropped 2 bombs within the city limits. Korean police had 6 civilians killed by the North Korean bombs. Meanwhile, communist North Korean invaders slashing to within 20 miles of Seoul. A high South Korean military official said the rush apparently had been stopped and thrown back. Cloudy skies, which checked the Northern Superior Air Army, brightened South Korean hopes of holding the estimated 50,000 Red troops, which struck yesterday across the border. General Douglas MacArthur has started shipping military supplies by plane to the embattled South Korean forces, according to usually well-informed sources in Tokyo. U.S. military transport planes flying the supplies from Japan presumably taking off from southern Japanese airfields and landing at Busan and other small Korean fields. American officials regard the communist attack in Korea as the first clear-cut military probing operation undertaken by the Reds to test the resistance and power of the non-communist world. American prestige and leadership, the bulk of non-communist strength throughout the Far East, is apparently at stake. The sudden invasion of South Korea by the communist-dominated North apparently caught best-informed congressional members completely by surprise, but some immediately insisted that the U.S. stand by Korea. There were suggestions for the UN pressure and action on arms. Republicans at the Capitol quick to declare the communist actions resulted from U.S. policies in the Orient, which they had been criticizing for months. It was evident that neither the Armed Services Committee nor the Foreign Relations Committee in the Senate, the two congressional groups to be in the best position to know of a threat, they had any inkling that the invasion was imminent. The Coast Guard announced last night it had received a report from a ship that blanket-stamped Northwest and parts of bodies were found near the east shore of Lake Michigan. The Coast Guard had no further details. The water at that point about 110 feet deep. Coast Guard said the CAA did not want to use grappling hooks at the scene, but would send down divers, and the Coast Guard said its largest boats operating on the west shore had been ordered to the scene. AFL switchmen halted all trains of 4 Western and Midwestern railroads in a strike yesterday, but a 5th railroad defied the walkout and operated some trains. Some 4,000 strikers began picketing at 6 a.m. Chicago time to enforce their demands for a reduction in the work week from 48 to 40 hours without a loss in pay. An interesting story from the Walter Winchell column. Reporters Ike White and Gus Roeder of the New York World played the leading roles in an adventurous rouser. According to Winchell, they were assigned to investigate the disappearance of 2 immigrants who vanished soon after their ship docked. The newsmen disguised themselves as seamen and prowled the waterfront for weeks. One night they heard a rumor that the missing men had been shanghaied and enslaved by an oyster fishing boat captain operating off the Maryland coast. The reporters informed the police the fantastic story was snubbed. They finally got a warrant for the pirate skipper's arrest. Accompanied by a deputy marshal, they rowed out to the ship in the middle of the night. The captain and his crew luckily were sound asleep. With pistols poked in his ribs, the villain meekly surrendered. The next day he confessed. The immigrants were liberated, and the heroes had a front-page story. And from the radio column, Groucho Marx eating dinner when he heard the news that his new NBC contract would bring him $3 million. His comment, "Bring me a double portion of dessert." Adjusted for inflation, that $3 million contract would be $39 million today. Those some of the day's top news stories from the newspapers of Sunday, June 25th, 1950. We'll take a look at the more radio programs from CBS Pacific Network with an episode of Jeff Regan Investigator starring Frank Graham and Frank Nelson. More than old radio, it's history here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Zip code. During this holiday season, the post office would like you to help them get your mail through faster. Zip code.
Zip code.
Put the zip on every letter.
Zip code. Zip code.
Your mail will get there better.
It will move without delay. It's the perfect way to get the mail to where it's going.
Zip code.
Zip code.
Zip up this holiday season.
It's the easy way. Shop early, mail early. Use zip code today.
Zip code is the sure way to get the mail going quickly, dependably, and safely to its destination. Zip code moves the mail.
Shop early.
Beat the crowds. Get your shopping done early.
Mail early.
Avoid the last-minute rush. Mail early.
Use zip code today. Zip code.
Make a mailman happy.
So there you go. If you mail it now, it'll get there by Christmas time. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. If you're on the west coast of the United States, at 7:30 you would have heard on KNX The Whistler. That would have been followed by a half hour of craziness with Steve Allen. And then at 8:30, you would have heard this program, Jeff Regan Investigator, starring Frank Graham and Frank Nelson. The program, which was originated by Jack Webb, was broadcast 74 years ago today, June 25th, 1950. This episode entitled, No Sad Clowns for Me.
My name's Regan. I work for Anthony J. Lyon, Detective Bureau. They call me the Lion's Eye.
Sunday at 8:30, and CBS brings you Jeff Regan Investigator, starring Frank Graham as Regan, with Frank Nelson as Anthony J. Lyon. So stand by for mystery and suspense and adventure in tonight's transcribed story, No Sad Clowns for Me.
There was a tall clown and a short clown juggling this one, plus a sleek but overaged destroyer named Ruth that wore tights and trained tigers. All parts of a big circus playing a small town of 649 people. And somewhere along the midway, a joker wanted to cut me down to size. 6-foot box size. I wasn't thinking about the circus when I went to the Detective Bureau Wednesday morning, but my boss was. The Lion was up to his knuckles in...
Green, my boy. I've just about decided to have our whole office done over in green.
Why the sea of $1 bills?
A client, my boy, with payment in advance.
Those bills look like they've been papered in a rat's nest.
They're all in pieces, my boy, but they're good.
You'd know.
Yeah, of course. Notice when I hold this one against this 300-watt light, the paper's made with silk threads. Fitting the torn bills together, they come to $67, Jeffrey.
And the client is...
See this canvas bag?
Bottle top?
It's full of nickels, dimes, and quarters, Jeffrey. With the $1 bills, it makes a very nice retainer of $75.
For which we do what?
Nothing.
Now, wait a minute, Fatso. You mean a client walked in here, laid down $75 to hire us to do nothing?
Exactly.
Duck, there's a curve on this pitch.
No, my boy. The whole thing's perfectly legitimate. Our client walked in about an hour ago.
Description?
Well, he was a tall man, eccentric.
Go on.
45 or 50 years old, long, pale, stringy, yellowish hair, like an actor, and oddly dressed.
This keeps getting better.
Well, he had on a single-breasted pinstripe suit and tennis sneakers, a rope for a belt.
Does he fly?
What? No. Anyway, Jeffrey, he put the money down. He saw I was worried about the small denominations, and then he said, "It's not brass." Just like that.
It's not brass.
Circus expression, my boy. Then he leaned right over this desk and said slowly, showing his big teeth, Jeffrey, "When a little old man named Crackley comes in, don't take his case."
And you went for that?
Of course. We do nothing, no trouble at all.
Lion, it could be we're in trouble. Give me our client's name and address and the retainer. I'll take it back.
Well, unfortunately...
Don't tell me. You didn't get the name and address.
Well, you see, my boy, he was in a great hurry.
You gave him a receipt for the 75?
Oh, of course. Everything very businesslike.
That ties us into the case, but good. Now, no matter what happens, we're mixed up in it.
You're borrowing trouble.
We bought it.
Oh, relax, my boy.
We got to get that receipt.
Forget it. Just be grateful.
Okay, Lion. But if Crackley shows up, be careful. I turned and started for the door. Our new client was a crank. We'd have to be more than careful. But I couldn't dump the trouble into the Lion's lap. I slammed the door on my way out. The noise made a little old guy jump. He was standing in the hall, just outside our door. It wasn't hard to figure who he was. Crackley?
You know my name?
Well, I do now. You're on your way into the Lion Detective Bureau.
Yes.
I'm Regan.
The Lion's Eye?
That's what they call me.
You're the man I came here to see. You were highly recommended.
I'd like to talk to you, Crackley. I know a place they'll let us sit down for 50 cents.
Yeah, I could use a drink.
I thought maybe. We went to Dugan's bar. Crackley was a little guy, but smart, almost sharp. He had an outdoor face, tanned with deep wrinkles like closed eyes in his forehead. Like he had a lot on his mind. and he wanted to talk.
I'm the owner of a circus, Mr. Regan.
Oh, congratulations.
Well, you don't understand. I don't know if you can imagine the responsibilities of a circus owner. To his employees, I mean. They're all specialists. And if we were to close up and go out of business, why, there'd be no place for them to go.
Except another circus.
Oh, circus business has fallen off since the war years, Mr. Regan.
Oh, I hadn't heard.
Business is terrible.
Oh, sure.
Another drink, gentlemen?
No, thanks.
No, I don't.
Now, why did you come to the Lion Detective Bureau?
I want you to find a man named Bliss.
Why?
Well, Bliss has been investing in my circus.
Putting money into a losing proposition?
Oh, it's not unusual. People that love the circus, especially wealthy people, enjoy putting their money into things that give them pleasure.
Bliss is missing?
Oh, for the last 3 weeks.
And the money has stopped coming into the circus?
Well, yes, Mr. Regan.
When did you last see Bliss?
The fact is, I've never seen Bliss.
But he puts money into your circus?
Through his lawyer. Right now, we're playing Bliss's hometown. I'd hope to meet him in person, but...
What would you say, Mr. Crackley, if I told you a strange man came into our bureau this morning and paid us not to take your case?
Why, someone's following me?
Well, I don't know, but Yeah. Yeah, Mr. Crackley, someone's following you.
Mr. Regan, what are you looking at?
You mean, what is it looking at us?
But where?
Stay put. I'll be right back. I ran to the window. The face that had been peering in at us whipped out of sight. A couple of winos in Dugan's door cost me 2 or 3 seconds getting out, and that was enough. When I got to the street, it was empty. The man with the long, stringy, yellowish hair who'd been watching us was gone. I went back into the bar. That's when I got a second surprise. Crackley was gone, too. A quick call to Billboard gave me what I needed. The Crackley Great Combined Circus was playing a town of 650 people. A place called Crossroads in the foothills, about a 2-hour drive from L.A. The crank with the yellow hair on the rope belt was somehow tied up with that Crackley circus. Yellow Hair had the Lion's signed receipt. I had to get it back. So I got into my car and headed for Crossroads. And when I got there, funny thing, the town was deserted. But the circus midway was jammed. It looked like Crossroads' whole 649 population was at that circus.
Hot dogs, hot puppies, they're delicious, they're nutritious. Step up and get one.
How much?
Eh?
A hot dog, how much?
Oh, yeah, hot dog. Hey, you mean you're going to buy one?
Why not?
Nobody buys nothing in this cheap burg.
Business looks pretty good to me. Everybody in town here at the circus.
Don't cost them nothing.
Oh, no?
Old Crackley's putting on a show for nothing. Making it look good for Bliss, his silent partner.
The show's papered then. Annie Oakley's for free, huh?
Say, you Bliss?
And if I am?
I ain't said nothing.
Yeah. How much for the hot dog?
2 bits.
I paid for the hot dog, walked along the midway asking questions wherever I could get an answer. It was like the dog peddler had said. Crackley had papered the house, bought tickets for everyone in town to guarantee business. We weren't supposed to take the case, but the situation was interesting, and I got to wondering about Bliss, how he fitted in. But then I remembered I was here to get our receipt back, so I bypassed the midway, walked around to the performers' tents. No gaudy signs here, no freak shows, palmists or ballet. And I found a woman. Or rather, she found me.
Regan?
Nice to be known.
This is my tent, Mr. Regan. Please come in.
She was tall, slim. You could spend time watching her. Young, but not too young. Her hair was long and black, almost to the roots. Her face was firm, beautiful, but her eyes had already been there and back. Then we were in her tent, nobody around except the tigers just outside. And she got nearer, and I could see more.
Regan.
Nice tent.
I got a message.
Uh-huh.
Go home.
That's your message?
Go back to L.A., Crackley says.
You a friend of Crackley's?
He saw you on the midway. He said, that's Regan. That's the Lion's Eye from L.A. that ought to go home.
You sure it wasn't Bliss?
You know Bliss?
Oh, yeah, a very close personal friend of mine.
You're clever, Regan.
It's my business.
Make sure your business doesn't get you into trouble.
Hey, that tiger's close.
Yeah, I work the big cats. They hate me and I hate them. I like them kept near me. Gives me a chance to whip them through the bars whenever I'm feeling blue.
Lady,
Yeah?
what's your name?
I got a surprise for you, Mr. Regan.
I've had lots today.
My name's Crackley.
You're married to old Crackley, the circus owner?
I married his son, Mr. Regan.
His son?
Yeah, George Crackley. The little runt that's standing in back of you.
I turned. George was there, all right. And he was little, maybe 4 feet 10 inches tall, wearing a clown suit. His face was in queer makeup, chalk white, bruised blue. He was supposed to look like a sad clown. And he was.
What are you doing around here?
Looking for a man.
She look like a man?
No.
You're after my wife, too. You were standing real close.
Guys fall in love with me, Regan. My husband's a poor sport about it.
Oh, make sure you don't wake up dead, mister. Make sure you don't get dropped on.
I'll be real careful.
George, if you don't get out of here...
Ruth, don't you think it's time you were getting into your costume? The walk-around will begin in 4 or 5 minutes.
A tall clown filled the opening to the tent. When he spoke, Ruth began fumbling with the costume. Little George looked like he was going to cry, then walked out of the tent without a word. Ruth followed him. And I was left alone with a tall clown in makeup, with a red watermelon mouth and cold blue eyes.
I hated to interrupt, Mr. Regan, but Ruth must dress for the walk-around, as we of the circus call our opening parade.
You seem to have an effect on George, too.
Oh, George and I are partners. He's the sad, bruised clown, and I am the cruel clown. I frighten him, maul him, beat and bruise him with various objects. It amuses people.
Naturally.
We're all sadists at heart.
Maybe you can help me.
I'll try.
I'm looking for a tall, eccentric man. Wears tennis shoes. Rope for a belt. Has long, stringy, yellowish hair, you know him? I said, do you know him?
Of course. That would be Mr. Bliss.
Where can I find him?
As a matter of fact, Mr. Regan, I have a message from Mr. Bliss. He wants to see you.
Oh? Who will I say sent me?
Just the cruel clown. He'll know who you mean.
Where do I meet Bliss?
At his home. I'll tell you how to get there.
He did. I got into my car and started the drive to his shack. I'd meet him on his own terms at his place. It was a 15-minute drive, most of the way up a side road. I was almost there when a car pulled into the side road behind me, coming up fast, its headlights growing in my rearview mirror. I pulled over to let the speedball pass. He began to cut in on me. The trailer he had hitched on sideswiped me. I felt myself go against the steering post. Then I didn't feel anything for a long time. I'd been thrown clear of my car. When I came to, there was a huge man standing over me, black in the moonlight. My gun was gone. My hand caught at a club, and then I saw it wasn't a club, but a small, very small chair arm. Must have fallen from the trailer. The trailer was gone. The man started moving in.
Well, sweetheart.
Stand back.
Coming to, sweetheart?
Get back.
I got your gun, baby. I'm Logan, chief of police at Crossroads. Maybe I ought to take you into custody for reckless driving.
Logan, I'm a private detective from Los Angeles.
Well, why don't you get up from the ground and tell me about it? Here.
Yeah, thanks. Somebody ran me off the road on purpose. And I think I know who.
That's so, sweetheart?
That's not all. There's something phony about that circus play in your town.
Ain't no circus around here.
You're real funny.
Fact is, I'll make you a bet, baby. You can't show me no circus around these parts.
You seem sure of that.
Give you 20 to 1.
Let's go take a look.
All right.
We drove in his car to the circus lot. When we got there, we saw the lot was full of color. All of it moonlight. Vacant. Not a candy wrapper. The crackly great combined circus was gone. As though it had never existed.
This is CBS, and you are listening to No Sad Clowns for Me, tonight's adventure with Jeff Regan, Investigator.
It started bad, and it got worse. The lion had us balled up in it like a cat in a fish line before I even heard of the case. Then I took over. I did fine. Trying to get our receipt for $75 back, I got myself run off the road near the town of Crossroads, got my car smashed up. Then the chief of police told me that the crackly Great Combined Circus, where I'd spent an hour, wasn't there. And it wasn't. The chief of police thought this was real funny.
Where'd the circus go, sweetheart?
L.A., probably.
You're kind of slick.
Couldn't have been gone more than an hour. Look at those filled-in post holes.
You're a real bright fella.
And I know why it left in such a hurry.
Oh, you city fellas are real sharp-like.
The circus left because of a guy named Bliss.
What do you know about Bliss?
Bliss was putting money into a circus, not taking any out.
Keep talking.
Bliss gets tired of this, slaps an attachment on the circus. Crackly pulled the show out before it could be served.
Yeah, you're real smart. You'd better come along with me, sweetheart. We better have a little, talkie.
It hit the bullseye, and I got more than I bargained for. It seems Bliss had no friends, except Logan, who, being the local legal eagle, was also appointed by Bliss as his lawyer, having full power of attorney. Now Logan was ready to talk.
Bliss, now, he ain't no dummy. He was in the circus himself years ago, before he got wise and made a lot of dough in plumbing fixtures. Ain't no money in show business, sweetheart.
They tell me.
Now, Bliss, he ain't old, but he's kind of funny. All of a sudden, he wants to
invest in a circus. His old love. But he also wants to make some money out of it.
Oh, Bliss, he likes money. He married a circus gal years ago. Left her because she was draining away his salary.
How much money did Bliss put into the Crackly Circus?
Well, baby, Bliss bought in deep enough to own, 49% of the show.
Bliss isn't getting any money out of his investment, so he slaps an attachment on the show. Crackly gets wind of it, pulls the show out.
You were right up to there, sweetheart.
Talk, Logan.
I got a note from Bliss just this afternoon. Told me to lift the attachment order. It was a real happy note.
Where's Bliss now?
Honest, baby, I don't know. He's clear. He's just gone.
Bliss skipped out on his wife. That can't be his real name.
No, I can't tell you much. Promised Bliss it wouldn't, but his name used to be Elmer C. Bickle.
You got a phone, Logan?
Here you are, baby. But get the charges.
I was getting an idea. Another reason for the show's moving. One thing was sure. Bliss was in it up to his ears. It was 2 a.m. now, and I got the lion at home.
Yeah, Anthony J. Lyon, Detective Bureau, Home Office. We never sleep.
And why haven't you been asleep?
Jeffrey. Well, I've had some very important work to do tonight.
Such as?
Pasting those dollar bills together, if you must know.
You're graduating from kindergarten right now, Fatso. Get your car out.
At this hour?
I'm in Crossroads, California, slaving for the agency, and you can help.
What can I do?
Get all the stuff you can on a guy named Elmer C. Bickle.
Pickle?
Bickle.
Oh.
Joined the circus years ago, married somebody, left his wife. Check variety.
That'll take all night, Jeffrey.
You've got 1 hour. Oh, another thing, Fatso. Check the theatrical hotels, places where show people, circus people put up. Here's what we need. A line on anybody connected with the Crackly Great Combined...
I can give you that, sweetheart.
What?
You what?
I know where they probably hold in.
Lion, forget that last. But check Bickle. I hung up, and Logan said he'd heard the performers in Crackly Circus usually stayed at the Fossman Hotel in Los Angeles. So I called the Fossman Hotel.
Oh, hello.
The desk clerk sounded wide awake.
Fossman Hotel?
Has Mr. Crackly checked in?
Who's asking?
Regan, private investigator.
Well, we certainly could have used a private investigator this morning.
Why?
Heavens, the circus came in without telling us. Everybody's so upset.
You better make sure they pay in advance.
Oh, well, Mr. Crackley paid everything in advance. He has the finest suite of rooms. But there's such confusion. I just don't know what to do.
You wouldn't. Now, about Crackly.
Oh, I'll ring. But he's probably asleep anyway.
Hello?
Crackley, this is Jeff Regan.
Oh, Regan.
Why did you run away?
I don't know. Well, I mean, we had to leave because we were so low on funds that the sheriff's office was going to tax the show. We heard of the order and left town to leave their jurisdiction.
Yeah, sure. Well, your worries are over, Crackley. I've found Bliss for you. Bickle, too.
Oh, no, it's impossible. Well, I mean...
Yeah, I know what you mean. It hit me. The circus was making money. Crackley had paid his hotel bill in advance. Fine suite of rooms. Why, he'd probably been keeping a double set of books cheating Bliss. I got Logan, got in his car, and drove back to the deserted circus lot. We drove fast. The circus had pulled out in the middle of the night for another reason. And I knew now we'd better look for that reason. The lot was deserted. Low, cold mist over the ground. Gray morning. A small animal moved through the mist like a creature from another world. A small dog. He'd found what we couldn't see. He had something in his mouth. A cap with a red pom-pom on its pointed end. A clown's cap, stained with blood. Logan had men digging within minutes. One of the filled post holes seemed larger than the rest. This was it.
We found him, Mr. Regan.
Yeah. Let me see his face.
Yeah. Kind of muddy.
Still in makeup. Tall, cruel clown.
You know him?
Yeah. You too. Pull the skull cap off.
Poor Mr.
Bickle, alias Bliss. Long, stringy, yellowish hair like an actor. Only isn't playing at being dead. Come on, Logan. Keys to your car. I've got an appointment at the Fossman Hotel. I took Logan's car, made the 2-hour trip back to L.A. I phoned the Lion as soon as I hit town. I got the complete rundown on Bickle. Then I went to the Fossman Hotel. I asked the room clerk for old Crackley's room number. It was 203. I didn't wait to be announced. You should lock your door, Crackley. You could get company you might not enjoy.
Well, I've been waiting for you.
I know why you pulled out of Crossroads so fast last night, Crackley.
Well, I don't know anything.
I found Bliss.
I'm not interested in Bliss anymore.
And maybe you're interested in Bickle, the tall clown.
Now, please, Mr. Regan.
Bliss joined the circus under his real name, Bickle, to check up on his investment.
The tall clown was Bliss?
Yeah. He was eccentric, but not eccentric enough to throw his money away. But he got more than he bargained for.
No, please, now leave me alone.
He's dead, Crackley.
Dead. Yes, dead.
You pulled out of Crossroads last night because a man was killed and buried there on the lot.
But I didn't kill him.
But you know who did?
No.
I had the Lion check on Bickle. It seems he married a Ruth Sandusky in Chicago, April 18th, 1930. Now, Ruth Sandusky was only a kid then, featured in an animal act.
My son George married her in good faith, Mr. Regan. I was against the marriage.
Where's George now?
But I can't tell you.
I left him in Crackley's suite of rooms, checked the front desk for George's room. Was told he lived in his own small trailer. That when he was in town, he always parked it down by the circus warehouse. That's where I headed. The circus warehouse was down by the tracks. It was a raw wood building that had fallen in on its bones. Most of the circus trucks had unloaded. Things were pretty quiet. I got out of the car, walked around. The rear of the warehouse was parked a small trailer, beat up. The one that had forced me off the highway near Crossroads. Inside, I found Ruth. Ruth Sandusky.
Regan.
Married Elmer C. Bickle in Chicago, April 18th, 1930.
You're a real bright eye.
You kind of like being married, don't you, Ruth? So much you get married twice.
Girl needs a man.
With money.
Bickle ran away from me the week we played Chillicothe. The only way I knew he was alive, he used to put crazy ads in the trades every Christmas.
You'll be sitting pretty when old man Crackley dies and George inherits the circus.
Oh, I try not to think of such things.
Bickle joined the circus 3 weeks ago. He recognized you, wanted you again, moved in on George. The thing is, you were still married to Bickle. You'd kind of overlooked getting a divorce, which meant you weren't legally married to George, meaning you had no future claim on the circus.
You won't tell George. I'll make it worth your while, Mr. Regan.
Trouble is, lady, George saw Bickle, the new clown, moving in on him. And easily, too. You were afraid to hold Bickle off, afraid he might yell bigamy. Real cozy for you, Ruth. Both husbands, clowns in the same act.
You better stop talking, Mr. Regan.
George had to move out of your tent, sleep in his trailer. He was crazy jealous. That's why he tried to finish me by driving me off the road. He thought I was moving in, too.
Stop it while you still got the chance.
Bickle said, come back to me or I yelled bigamy, and you killed him.
Stop it!
Only one thing, lady. You didn't know that Bickle and Bliss were the same man.
Bliss?
Yeah, the angel. The guy that was pouring all that money into the circus.
Bickle was Bliss. I'm still married to him, legally.
That's almost right.
Yeah. Yes, it was bigamy. What do I want with George now? As the wife of Bliss or whatever he called himself now, I'll inherit all his dough.
You killed Bliss.
What? Crackley thinks his son did it. George will go to the gas chamber for me. I'm a bigamist, Mr. Regan, so give me 2 years.
No, Ruth, no. No, you won't get rid of me that easy.
George.
I heard what you
Little
were
George, the sad, bruised clown, stood in the doorway of a small trailer. It was like he didn't see me, only Ruth, his almost wife. But he'd heard
I thought you
plenty.
killed him because he was molesting you.
Shut up, George.
I thought you killed him because you loved me.
You stay away from me, George.
Ruth ran out of the trailer, followed by George. He slammed the door to hold me back. I got the door open just in time to see little George slip into the circus warehouse. I ran after them, fast. Inside the warehouse, it was dim. There was a sharp smell of circus animals. Little George was flexing his muscles for the first time in his life.
I won't let him get you. I'll take you from the gas chamber.
A superhuman strength had come into him. He had Ruth by the hair and was forcing her into an animal cage. The tiger was crouched in the corner of the cage, ready to jump. I grabbed both George and Ruth by the hair and pulled them back. I kicked the cage shut.
Oh, why didn't you let me finish?
Sorry, George. The state will want witnesses when Ruth finishes her act. In the gas chamber. That wound it up. I called Sanducci of homicide. When they came to take Ruth away, I saw little George, the fall guy, standing near his trailer, all alone. 2 hours later, I checked in with the Lion at the office.
We're in the money. We're in the money.
Still at the paste pot, Lion?
Oh, yes, my boy. I've just finished pasting the last bill together. The silk threads match perfectly.
Nice, neat job.
Oh, Jeffrey, you just don't know how hard I work for our future.
Uh-huh. Bank should take these all right.
Now, I slaved all night, my boy.
The only thing, money doesn't belong to us.
Yeah, I think I'll just press the bill so the bank will be sure. What?
Money isn't ours.
But, what do you mean?
I got a call from Logan. Says he found your receipt in the Bliss shack. I had to tell him we got the $75 to keep us from taking the case.
Oh.
So the Bliss estate demands its money back.
It's all your fault, Jeffrey.
Yeah, I guess maybe.
If you hadn't opened
well,
your mouth...
I guess I'll just have to keep this 100.
Yeah. Well, what's that you have?
$100 bill. Got 2 more, just like it.
Jeffrey. But who...
Old Crackley gave it to me.
Well...
He thought his son George had killed Bickle. When we proved it was Ruth, he gave me.
Oh, how could I have ever doubted you, Jeffrey?
Another thing, Lion.
Yeah?
Meant to tell you, those bills you pasted together?
Oh, I worked so hard over them.
Well, the bank would have fitted the bills together for you.
Yes. Oh, no!
Jeff Regan Investigator is written by William Frug and Gilbert Thomas, directed by Sterling Tracy, and stars Frank Graham as Regan with Frank Nelson as Anthony J. Lyon. Original music is by Dick Arant. Jeff Regan Investigator is transcribed each week at the same time over CBS. Bob Stevenson speaking, and inviting you to be with us again next Sunday at 8:30 for more suspense and mystery and adventure with Jeff Regan Investigator.
This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
And there you have it from 8:30 Pacific Time, Sunday, June 25th, 1950. Jeff Regan Investigator here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Then our third show of the trio from Sunday, June 25th, 1950, wandered about the dial. It was presented at various times. Ilona Massey, the screen star, starring in an episode of a program called Top Secret from 74 years ago today, A Package in Tangiers.
They say neither snow, nor rain, nor heat, nor gloom of night. Ow!
Neither snow, nor rain, nor heat, nor gloom of night will hold up your mail. But you can if you don't use zip codes. Be sure to use zip code on every letter and package you send, and always include your own zip code in your return address. That way, others will have it when they write to you. Remember, mail moves the country, and zip code moves the mail.
Oh, trash cans, dogs. At least that zip code.
Oh, my goodness. We're going to wrap up our visit to 74 years ago, June 25th, 1950, here on Classic Radio Theater, with the summer replacement series for the American Album of Familiar Music. Ilona Massey, the screen star, starring in an episode of the program Top Secret, A Package in Tangiers, from 74 years ago, June 25th, 1950.
Until now, this story has been Top Secret. Top Secret, the new NBC presentation starring gorgeous Ilona Massey as the Baroness Karen Gazer in transcribed dramas of international intrigue and espionage before and during World War II. Assignment 3, The Package in Tangiers. A story until now, Top Secret.
In Tangiers, Monsieur Brown, murder is like love. The essence is quietness and privacy, huh?
She'll be quiet, all right. She'll be out for days.
Take her downstairs to our little room.
Oh, it's too bad you had to hit her.
It's too bad we have to kill her, huh?
Well, that's a bit risky, isn't it? Tangiers is a neutral zone.
We will take her to the cliffs tonight. A shot, a push, voila. And what will be left? Nothing to say won't wash away. Now, take her downstairs to our little room.
Yes, Captain. Tiny, isn't she?
Hurry back, will you, Monsieur Brown? We have a lot to do.
Floor cold, honey? All right. There. Not much of a bed, is it? But you had it coming to you.
Consciousness came back. I had gambled and I had lost. I had made a mistake. As I lay on the filthy bed in the airless cell, I could hear the voice of the farmer, my chief, the man who hired me to spy against the Nazis in Hitler's Berlin.
In espionage, Baroness, your first mistake will be your last. There will be no protection in danger, no recognition, even in death.
No recognition, even in death. There would be nothing to identify me as the little manicurist who became the personal maid, almost the confidential companion of Emmy Goring, the statuesque consort of the number 2 Nazi himself.
Why is it, Karen, that in a house with 30 bedrooms there isn't one good mirror?
Oh, the hat is very becoming, Frau Goring.
Well, it will have to do. I'll be back in a couple of hours. I'll wear the white satin and the emeralds tonight.
Yes, Frau Goring.
Goodbye, Karen.
Goodbye.
Yes?
It's Karen.
Karen,
It's all right. I'm on the phone in her bedroom. Have you any instructions?
The Tiergarten, in an hour.
15 minutes.
Right.
That's how it is, Karen. You've got to leave for Tangiers tonight.
Is it that important?
There's a leak in our intelligence down there. 4 times in the past month, the Germans have gotten hold of vital information known only to a handful of men in the Allied High Command.
Frau Goring will never let me go.
If she won't, you'll have to go anyway.
But my job in the Goring house is the best contact we have.
Karen, you're going to Tangiers. It may only be for a few days. Your contact there is a little boy. Go to the Bazaar of the Singing Fountain. There is a blind beggar who walks the bazaar with a little boy leading him.
But there must be many blind beggars in Tangiers.
In the Bazaar of the Singing Fountain, there is only one.
One beggar in a bazaar?
One little boy aged 12 with gray hair.
I'm sorry, Karen. It is impossible. You've been with me less than a month, and now you want a week's vacation. No, it is impossible.
Oh, I wish you would change your mind, Frau Goring.
Put the front curls higher.
Yeah.
No, higher still.
Oh.
No. Give me the comb.
Yes, Frau Goring.
Thank you. Where did you want to go?
Tangiers.
Tangiers?
Yes, why?
Tangiers. Will you step outside a moment, Karen? I wish to telephone privately.
Certainly, Frau Goring.
I'll call you when I'm through.
Yes, Frau Goring.
Franz, the most amazing luck. My maid wants to go to Tangiers. Yes, I'm sure of it. No, I don't think she'd ever suspect. Look, will you arrange for payment? 25,000 American dollars. Yes. She doesn't have to know anything. I know it's risky, but there's no other way. And she's a sensible girl. Right. Yes, goodbye. Karen, I'm through.
Frau Goring, I was thinking that with the white satin...
Karen, I've changed my mind. You may have your vacation.
Oh, thank you, Frau Goring.
Would you do a little errand for me in Tangiers?
Of course I will, anything.
When are you leaving?
Well, I thought that...
Tonight?
Yes, if you wish.
Very well. Take this note to Saxel at the aerodrome.
I see.
One of the Reichsmarshal's private planes will be at your disposal. The pilot's name is Captain Kleins.
Yes.
In Tangiers, go to this address and ask for Suleiman Abdel Kadir. He will give you a package. You bring back the package to me.
Yes. Would it be too curious to ask what the package contains?
Much too curious. Yes, Frau Goring. Now, this card will serve as your identification at the house of El Kadir. The signature is that of the man we both serve, Hermann.
I don't like it, Karen.
Farmer, I have to go. Captain Kleinst is waiting. The plane is ready to take off.
But what is it? What is Emmy Goring after?
I don't know. She's talked about a sable coat.
Tangiers for a sable coat?
I must go. It's dangerous for us to be seen together.
Your job is more important than a package for Emmy Goring.
What better way to find the leak in Allied intelligence than to pose as a German agent? I have a card signed by Hermann himself. The flight to Tangiers was uneventful, except for a moment of heartache when my Nazi pilot refueled outside Paris, occupied Paris. When I arrived in Tangiers, I took a room at the Fadella Hotel. Then I made my way to the Bazaar of the Singing Fountain to look for a blind beggar led by a little boy with gray hair.
For my father who is blind.
My child, your cause is good, but your manners are bad.
I ask only alms, madame, not instruction.
One takes off his hat to a lady, even when one begs for his father who is blind.
As you wish, madame. There.
I am from the farmer. Bring your father to the Fadella Hotel, room 23. It's on the first floor. Who are you? What are you doing in my hotel room?
Fräulein, it is the business of German intelligence to watch people who arrive in Tangier in one of Goring's private planes.
And to break into their hotel rooms?
You have nothing to fear, Fräulein, if you can identify yourself. What is that?
What is what?
There's someone at the window.
You seem very nervous.
Open it.
Certainly. Your fears are groundless. Herr, what is your name?
Never mind names. Show me your identification.
I am the maid, the personal companion of Frau Goring. Here is a card signed by the Reichsmarshal himself. Does that satisfy you?
Yeah. My apologies, Fräulein. But you were seen talking to the little boy in the bazaar. For months I have suspected his father.
Will you leave now?
Someday I will get that old beggar. Blind. Bah, he is a fox. And he will be killed the way all enemies of Germany...
Roger!
Oh!
Who is it? Is there somebody there? You!
Yes, madame. From the window.
Get inside, quickly. Put the window down. Hurry. What is the meaning of this? Have you gone out of your mind?
I'm an expert at throwing knives, madame. It was part of my education.
But why? Why?
I hate Germans, madame. He threatened my father. I have killed before.
You are not a child. You are a monster. I'll have to get out of this hotel. They'll find his body and... Oh, help me with him. Quickly. Under the bed. Please. Please, hurry. Shh. What is it?
Yes, madame, wish towel?
I have plenty. Thank you. You idiot. You may have ruined everything.
When there is doubt, madame, one always kills Germans. They blinded my father, killed my mother.
They'll find him any minute, even under the bed. There. Now listen, take my suitcase out the window. I'll leave by the front door. We will go to your father's house.
No, madame. What? I will not take you to my father.
Little boy, listen. Believe me, I am on your side. I work for the farmer. I have a plain white visiting card.
With a grain of wheat?
Glued in the center. No matter what you have heard about my working for Frau Goring, that is a cover. Do you understand? A cover. You do believe me, don't you?
It is difficult, madame, these days to believe anybody.
I hate Nazism and fascism as much as you do. Wait. I have some chocolate in my purse.
I have no appetite for candy, madame.
Little boy, come here. Closer. How old are you?
12, madame.
Poor little boy. There.
Thank you, madame. You're very kind.
Out the window quickly with my suitcase. I will meet you at the corner in 3 minutes. We took a taxi. This strange, sad, gray-haired child of 12. His face was expressionless, tired, pinched. Through the narrow streets, we drove to the worst district of Tangiers, to his father's house. I was taken to a tiny room at the back and told to wait, while the boy went for his father.
She's a cheat, father, like all the others. She pretends to work for both sides, but works only for herself.
Where is she, my boy?
In the back room.
You should not judge too quickly. It is difficult for an enemy to learn the passwords of the farmer.
But she has a card signed by Goring. I saw it. I saw her talking to Herr von Feld in a hotel room. I saw her.
Give her my respects and apologies. I will sleep now and talk to her in the morning. But watch her. If she goes out, follow her.
Yes, father.
Go now, my boy. Remember, it is a sin to judge too quickly.
Madame?
Yes?
My father's respects. He's old and tires easily. He will see you in the morning. I hope you will be comfortable here. Our house is poor, but clean.
Thank you, father. I have an errand to do now. A package that must be picked up. I shall return soon.
A package, madame?
Little boy, you will have to learn someday in your life how to tell when people are your friends. I am looking for Sulaiman Abdelkadir.
Salam alaikum. I am he. Come in.
Were you expecting me?
At my age, Fräulein, one expects anything. How may I serve you?
Here is a card. It is signed by the Reichsmarshal himself. I am to pick up a package.
Ah, yes. It is ready. Ready and waiting. Here you are, Fräulein.
But,
why are you startled?
I was expecting a large package.
Preconceived ideas are usually wrong, Fräulein. May I wish you good evening?
Is there nothing to pay?
Nothing. Good evening, Fräulein.
I followed her. She went to Suleiman Abdelkadir. Father, I saw her.
You are sure, my son?
I saw him answer the door. I saw her go in. She's a Nazi, Father. She will trick us. Please, Father, let me...
No, my son. Report her to Mr. Brown. Tell him what you have told me. And please, since she is as beautiful as you say, do not have them arrest her in this house. In the morning, they can take her in the Bazaar with the rest of the trash in Tangiers.
I wait here, madame. Sit on the stone. It's quite clean. I will return in a moment.
But when can I see your father?
He will lunch with us at home, madame. But wait here. I shall not be long. Do not go away, madame. I will be back soon.
Will you come with me, please?
Are you speaking to me?
Brown is the name. Allied Intelligence. Will you come with me, please?
I most certainly will not.
I don't want to be brutal. I can't legally arrest you, but there are other ways. If you come with me, you'll have a chance. But if you don't, you won't get out of this bazaar alive. That's not being dramatic. That's a fact. Tangiers is a strange place. Please come quietly.
Where?
Allied headquarters. We have an old house. It's not far.
Can't we discuss this, Mr. Brown? There is no need for...
Open your suitcase, please.
How did it get here?
The boy. Open it. If you don't open it, I'll have to break it open.
There.
Mm-hmm. Now, what's this?
Face powder.
Mm-hmm. You always wear platform soles on your shoes?
Not always. There is no need to wreck my shoes. If you tell me what you're looking for, I'll be very glad to help. But...
I don't know quite what I'm looking for.
Mr. Brown, you may not believe this, but I am not a Nazi spy.
Oh, come off it, lady. You had a private plane from Berlin. One of Mr. Goring's special numbers. You were seen going into El Kadir's house. He's the leading Nazi in Tangiers. Don't give me this cover stuff, please.
You've got to believe me. I'm trying to locate the source of...
Of what?
I can't tell you.
That's right, you can't. This what you picked up at El Kadir's?
If it's a matter of money, Mr. Brown, we might come to terms.
Sorry, there isn't that much money in the world. Now, what's in this?
I don't know.
It was in your suitcase.
I don't know, I tell you.
All right, let's open it. Well, why do you have to get face cream from El Kadir?
I had no idea what was in the package.
A jar of face cream. Or is it...
You have no right to... What is it?
Innocent, aren't you?
Is it?
Yes. Buried in the cold cream. But, naturally, you wouldn't know.
I swear I had no idea. I swear to it.
I don't like women like you. Hello, Captain.
Mm-hmm. Is this the young lady, eh?
Yes, sir.
What is the verdict, Monsieur Brun?
I'd say guilty, Captain.
I assure you, Captain,
Be quiet, please. Oui, Monsieur Brun.
She arrived in one of Goring's private planes.
Uh-huh.
She entertained the Gestapo in her hotel room.
Uh-huh.
She tried to bribe me. She's tried about everything. The beggar's kid had me pick her up, and I found that in a suitcase.
I see.
Let me go. Let me go.
Mademoiselle, don't be foolish. You can't possibly get away.
Let go of me.
You didn't have to hit her.
Monsieur Brun, we have to kill her.
Well, that's a bit risky, isn't it? Tangiers is a neutral zone.
In Tangiers, murder is like love. The essence is quietness and privacy. Take her downstairs to our little room. We will take her to the cliffs tonight. A shot. A push. Voila. And nothing will be left. Nothing that the sea won't wash away. Take her downstairs, Captain.
I deliberately kept my cover. It would have been simple to prove I worked for the farmer, but I had a feeling I would be released. I knew that whoever got me out of this would be the person responsible for the leak in our Tangiers intelligence. Hours passed. Then he came for me.
What do you want?
We're ready if you are.
Even in Tangiers, there must be laws about murder.
That is why we are so discreet, mademoiselle. This will do, Monsieur Brun. Quiet, dark, and deserted. Mademoiselle, I know you will not force us to drag you screaming from the car.
Gentlemen, the time has come for me to tell you the truth. As a matter of
The
fact,
time has come for you to get out, honey.
Get out. Thank you.
You want me to do it?
No. Wet ear. Proceed, mademoiselle.
Captain, I must tell you that...
Keep quiet. They will hear us.
What?
Please, keep quiet.
What?
When one has to shoot, one shoots quickly.
Oh.
Good. Now listen. Near here there is a path down the cliff. It is very steep. Watch yourself.
Yes.
Almost directly beneath us is a small pier. I will pick you up there in a motorboat in an hour.
Then you are...
Oui. Now be on the pier in an hour. I will get there as soon as I can get rid of this fool American.
I wanted to sing, to shout. This was the leak. The head man of Allied espionage was a traitor. I groped my way down the rocky cliff and found the small pier just as he had said. I sat there in the cold, shivering, but exultant, and waited.
Congratulate you. You were superb. Never have I seen anyone face death with such dignity.
Thank you, monsieur.
I attended to everything. Captain Clancy is waiting at the airport with your plane. There is your suitcase, and in it is your cold cream, or shall we say what was concealed in the cold cream.
You are very efficient.
Thank you, Fräulein. I have been useful to the Reichsmarschall on several occasions. You will not forget to mention my name, huh?
I will never forget you, never.
Merci. They are so stupid, these Americans, and the English worse. Right under their very noses.
Climbing down the cliff, I loosened my heel. Have you a hammer?
Under the seat there is a toolbox. Lift up the top. Have you got it?
Yes, monsieur. Thank you.
It will be greasy, mademoiselle.
No one will notice the grease.
I wish to do as you say, but Al-Qadir is one of the most influential Germans in Tangiers.
Captain Kleinst, we will take off at once.
Al-Qadir said no. There was a body found in the Padala Hotel. It seems that your room was...
Captain, do you recognize the signature on this card? Or must the pilot of the Reich be told who is Hermann?
To be fair, we take off at once.
You did splendidly, Karen. Splendidly.
Thank you. But I can't forget that little boy. It was horrible. Farmer, he wasn't a child. He was an old man.
Our work will help build his future, Karen.
Yes, I know.
Incidentally, the package of Frau Goring's, what was it?
In a jar of cold cream, a small fortune in morphine. The jar got broken. I told Frau Goring I dropped it. She admitted it was medicine for Hermann. She was very grateful. Apparently, Himmler has closed off the Reichsmarshal's supply.
And the leak in Tangiers is plugged for good.
Plugged for good. With a hammer. A German hammer.
You have just heard Ilona Massey starring in the new NBC presentation, Top Secret. And here she is with a clue about next week.
Next week, as assignment 4, Philip Cornelius. His courage, his bravery, his tenderness, his escape. It is a personal story of mine, and until now it has most certainly been top secret.
Top Secret is directed and produced by Harry W. Junkin. The script was by Alan Sloan. Heard with Miss Massey tonight were Bryna Rayburn, Louis Van Ruten, Tommy Frederick, Earl Hammond, Carl Emery, and Bernard Grant. The music was composed and conducted by Dr. Roy Shield. This is Fred Collins speaking.
Ilona Massey, a Hungarian film, stage, radio performer. I guess some of the movies that she was best known in was the 1937 Rosalie, the 1943 Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, starring Lon Chaney Jr. She was the Baroness in that. And she appeared in the Ziegfeld Follies as well, with Nelson Eddy in Northwest Outpost, Love Happy with the Marx Brothers. And she was in the comic strip, she was instrumental, I should say, by Milt Kniff in the creation of Madam Lynx in the Steve Canyon comic strip. In addition to the Top Secret radio show, she appeared in Rendezvous on ABC TV and A. Dumont's The Ilona Massey Show, a musical variety show. She sang songs in a nightclub setting, and music provided by the Irving Fields Trio. It only ran for 10 episodes. She became an American citizen in 1946, strongly anti-communist for what she saw as the destruction of her native Hungary. She picketed the United Nations during the 1959 visit of Nikita Khrushchev. She died of cancer in Bethesda, Maryland in 1974 at the age of 64. And near her last husband, Donald Dawson, who served in the U.S. Air Force Reserve as a major general. Ilona Massey's Top Secret program, a summer series on NBC, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, wrapping up our look at that Sunday 74 years ago. As I said, Sundays were a bit of a different time, and they were starting to see the fact that radio was not just a medium that disappeared in the summer. So some serious shows took place for a few years in the summertime on radio, but then before radio converted to strictly a, shall I say, records and disc jockey medium, which it sadly became, and then to talk radio, which is the predominant upscale form of radio these days, although there are lots of non-disc jockey music radio stations out there, which has become the norm. Okay, let me get away from my criticism of our medium of radio and go on to an episode of Suspense. 63 years ago will be next, an episode entitled Call Me at Half Past. More than just old-time radio, it's history. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Excuse me, I'm a reporter. I'm doing a story about the post office, and I'd like to see how the mail is processed.
Be our guest, but better move back. Another truckload of mail is coming in. Just pile it here, Harry.
Wow, that's a lot of mail.
Are you kidding? Those are just a few sacks. Dozens more come in every minute, loaded with letters that have to be sorted. The zip-coded ones are a snap. But those others, I'd like to talk to every person who sent a letter today without using zip code.
Yeah, what would you tell them?
I'd tell them their letters can hold up the works. Look, they'll be picking up the sorted mail in 5 minutes. Now, if every letter here had zip codes, they'd all make that pickup. But no, a lot of them will have to be sorted the old way. People who don't use zip codes are holding up the mail. Hey, that's a pretty good slogan. Why don't you print that?
I don't have to. You see, I'm a radio reporter. Your message is traveling all over the country right now.
No kidding. Say, can I just say one more thing?
Sure.
Hello, Sally. Hi, Ben. Hi, Susie. Hi, Sam.
Our midweek edition of Classic Radio Theater will be a mixed bag again. Mostly, we'll have some comedy and some drama. We'll start off with the feature day of Sunday, June 26, 1938, with episodes of The Shadow and Jack Benny. And then we will move to an episode of The Fred Allen Show and his final radio program. And then The Adventures of Frank Merriwell. Interestingly enough, nostalgia show that looked back at the turn of the from the 19th to the 20th centuries. And then an episode of Lum and Abner. That'll be up next on our Wednesday Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thursday, mostly drama with Nick Carter, Master Investigator, Escape, a program called Hollywood Premiere, an episode of This Is Your FBI, and another episode of Superman, which we'll hear, an episode of Superman here in about 30 minutes. That'll be coming up here. And our featured date will be June 27th, 1948. Now, we're going to get to this episode of Suspense from Sunday. This would be June 25th, 1961, 63 years ago. Suspense, Elspeth Eric and Bernard Grant starring in Call Me at Half Past.
And now, another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
A man talks to his wife and keeps talking to save his life. In just 30 seconds, Act 1 of Call Me at Half Past, written especially for Suspense by Alan Sloan.
The lively crowd today agrees. Those who think young say Pepsi, please. They pick the right one, the modern light one. Now it's Pepsi for those who think young. So go ahead and pick the drink that lets you drink young as you think. Yes, get the right one, the modern light one. Now it's Pepsi for those who think young.
Well, hello, Mr. Simmons. Right on schedule, huh? Your usual room?
If you have it, please.
Oh, we save it, Mr. Simmons. After all, how long have you been a regular with us at the hotel? 3-4 years?
Too long.
Yes, sir. Just call me Big Mouth. Would you please sign the register?
Why, sure.
Not that it's any of my business, sir, but if you don't mind my asking, how are things over at the hospital? Do they say?
Same as always, they say.
The wife's been lighting candles for you.
I appreciate that, Charlie. Now, I'd like to go upstairs and freshen up.
Oh, sure. Front, show Mr. Simmons to his room, please.
Yes, sir. Coming right up. 509 for Mr. Simmons.
Yeah, you see? Even the bellhops know you.
All right, this way, Mr. Simmons. There you go. 509. After you, sir.
Just drop the bag anywhere.
I'll just check the bathroom.
Well, I'm sure everything's all right.
No, sir. No bath towels. I'll send the maid up with some.
All right, that'll be fine.
You know how it is with help nowadays.
Look, here, this is for you.
Well, thank you, sir. Anything else, you just call for number 12.
Yes, I'll do that. By the way, what's the right time?
All right, well, it's 5-2.
Thanks. My watch stopped on the train.
Mr. Simmons, Look, if you don't mind my saying, you look real beat. If you want to grab an extra half-hour rest, there's another gentleman going to the hospital this afternoon, but he's driving. I'm sure he'd be glad of your company. Would you like me to...
No, thanks. I'll take the bus.
Yes, sir. The maid will be up with the towels right away.
Your order, please.
This is Mr. Simmons in 509. Would you do me a favor?
Certainly, sir.
I'm going to take a nap. Would you call me at 5:30? And operator, keep ringing until I answer.
Don't worry, Mr. Simmons. We'll see you don't miss the bus.
Everybody knows. Lighting candles, saving my room, watching my time. Ah, Lord, Lord. Oh, Lord, again. Know it or not, believe it or not, she's in your hands. But one of these times, one of these days, let it be the last time, God. Please, please. Oh, the damn towels. Come in. All right, just a minute. Don't bother. Francis. Franny.
Hello, Cliff.
But what is it? Honey, love, come in.
Thank you.
I thought you were the maid. Franny, what's happened? Why didn't they tell me? Ye gods, what are you doing?
Visiting you?
What, they didn't call, they didn't write, they didn't wire? Oh, Franny, darling, this is unbelievable.
I thought you'd be surprised.
Let me take you in my arms, darling. Franny, you're well.
Am I?
Why, of course. If they've let you come down to meet me. But what a surprise.
Well, this will surprise you even more.
Franny, give me the gun.
No.
Be a good girl now. Give it to me. Come on now, Franny.
Get back.
Franny.
I said back.
Oh, honey, let's not do things like this. Oh, dearest heart, you're so... Oh, Franny.
I'm what? Go ahead, say it.
Franny, dear heart.
Don't dear heart me.
Please.
Oh, well, now that I like. Say please.
Franny, you're very upset. Now, let's sit down and...
That's a very poor diagnosis. They don't send people where you sent me because they're upset.
But I wanted you to get well, Fran. You see, the doctors...
Mad. Crazy mad. No, there's nothing the matter with me. I just hate you, that's all, and I'm going to kill you dead.
No.
I am going to kill you.
No, you're not,
Yes,
Franny.
I am. You sent me there, and there's nothing wrong with me.
Why, of course there isn't. Don't you see? That's why you're not going to do anything foolish. Only sick people do things like that. And you just said there's nothing the matter with you. Why, if they let you come to see me, you must be all well again. And if you're all well, why, you don't want to do anything foolish. Isn't that logical? Now, dear, doesn't that make sense?
Oh, I love to hear you talk like that. Let me come to see you nothing. I escape.
Oh, well, all right, Franny, all right. Let's have a drink on, okay?
Get away from that phone.
I was only going to call room service.
I've had enough room service. For 3 years, you made them keep me in a room.
Yes, but it's all over now, see? Come on, Franny. Let's just get out of here and go home.
No. Not after all the trouble I had getting here. I had to smash my nice little clock. My nice little clock that you gave me. Inside a stocking on the guard's head. Crunch!
The little white clock?
Yes. Without any alarm. Why couldn't I have an alarm?
Oh, never mind, honey. Never mind. It doesn't matter.
Won't you tell me?
I tell you what. Let's send down for coffee and cake, huh? And we'll talk about clocks and things.
I said stay away from that phone.
All right, dear. All right. Anything you say.
Anything you say. Ooh, how scared you are. Sure, I'll sit down. I can kill you just as well sitting down.
Fran, you know, I just thought of something.
Why couldn't I have an alarm?
No. If you really escape, they'll be looking for you. See, so why don't I call them and say you're safe with me?
Because I'll kill you if you touch that phone again. Now, don't touch it anymore, Cliff. Because I don't want to shoot you right away. I want to watch you squirm and wiggle. Cliff?
Yes, dear.
What did they do to me? I can't remember things. I remember near things. How I put the clock in the stocking and how I swung the stocking and crunch and the guard fell down and
And how you always take the same room, but I don't remember things, Cliff. And I have to remember so that I can kill you better.
Like about bells?
Bells?
Yes, bells, Franny. Alarm clocks and things like that. Can't you remember about bells?
No.
You used to get upset when you heard bells. Don't you remember?
No, I don't. Talk about bells. I want to remember bells.
All right. All right, Franny. The big bell on the church down the street.
Huh?
The school bell.
School? No.
The front door that went bing bong, bing bong.
Front door?
The alarm clock in the bedroom. The tinkle bells on the parakeet's cage. And even the telephone.
Telephone. No, I didn't have a telephone. Yes. Yes, I did, but you made them take it away. You didn't want me to talk to anybody.
Oh, no, Franny. What have I done? Forgive me. I'm sorry.
Why couldn't I have a phone?
Franny, honey, let me see the gun, will you? Yeah, I've never seen a gun so close.
Sit down.
All right, yes. I am sitting down, you see?
Now tell me about the telephone.
Oh, Franny, my dear wife. It reminded you of...
Of what?
Of something.
What?
You don't remember.
Well, make me remember. Make me.
Donnie.
Donnie?
The baby. Donnie.
Whose baby?
Ours.
Do we have a baby?
No.
Well, then why do you say Donnie?
Because that was his name. Oh, Franny, please, put that gun away, will you? Just come to me. Just let me hold you.
Why do you say Donnie?
Because back then there was a Donnie. With your hair and my eyes. Oh, don't you remember? Franny, remember. Remember my birthday. Remember.
Mommy making cake?
That's right, darling.
What you doing now?
I am mixing the batter for the cake.
Donnie cake.
Daddy cake.
I lick it.
Well, when I'm finished, you can lick the beaters. That's right.
I lick it now.
You beat it now.
Mommy beat it. Donnie lick it now.
No, I mean scat. S-C-A-T, scat. Well, you go outside and wait for Daddy to come home. When he does, you can both lick the bowl. Go on now, scat.
Okay. I go ride my bicycle.
Donnie?
I am.
Don't ride too far and stay out of the driveway.
I say.
Oh, boys, yet. Oh, my eye sick. Oh, if it's not one thing, it's six. Oh, for goodness sake, does everything have to happen at once? Hold your horses, I'm coming. Donnie! There's Daddy! Donnie, get out of the driveway! Claire, look out! Oh, no. No, Cliff. No, you just made that up.
No, honey. No, it's true. And you see, when a telephone rings, you remember it. You live it again.
No.
Yes, when any bell rings, you remember it.
I was going to kill you because you put me in that place with the locks. Now I'll kill you if that story is true and you killed my Donnie with your car.
Oh, God, Franny, it was an accident. Don't you think I suffered?
Not the way I have.
I haven't had the blessing of forgetting.
Don't you yell at me.
I'm sorry.
All right, that's enough. Now turn around. No more talk. All right, then don't turn around. I'd just as soon look at you and watch you die. What's the play games. Let's count to 3, 1. Say it, 1.
Fran.
1. Take the safety off. 2. Check the chamber.
Don't, Franny, please. You'll be all alone if you kill me.
1, 2, just for you, and 1 for me. Adds up to... Who's that?
I don't know.
That's them. They've come to take me back. Don't you move. Don't answer. Don't you talk.
No. It's just the maid.
The guards. You want it to be the guards.
No, it's only the towels. Fran, will you let...
All right. Now, if it's the guards, I'll kill you. And if it's the maid, don't you let her in. And I'm right behind you.
Oh. It's you.
Your towels, sir. I'll put them in the bathroom.
Don't bother. I'll take them, thank you.
The look on your face. You thought it was the guards. Just the maid with the towels, you said, but your face was an open book.
You know, speaking of books, I am reading the most interesting book you... just let me put these towels away, and I'll tell you all about
Lock
it, all right?
yourself in the bathroom? Oh, no. Put them down. Go on, throw them on the floor.
All right. But this book, it's one of those wonderful family stories.
Shut up! Now stand on the towels. Right there. Ooh, it'll be so pretty. Red on white. And we won't mess up the room.
Fran, you're not going to kill me.
Why not?
Because I love you. Because people don't kill those who love them.
You don't love me.
If you know anything, you know that.
Well, I hate you.
But that proves you love me, see? Hate is just
Stop looking at your watch.
Oh, would you like to see it, Fran? It's new. I'll get you one even prettier if you want me.
You never get me anything. You make them do things to me, but you never bring me anything.
That is not so,
yes,
Fran.
Yes, it is so. You just take things away from me. You took the telephone away so I couldn't talk to anybody and locked me in the house all day so I couldn't see anybody.
Oh, do you remember that?
Yes, I remember that. But I don't remember why.
Well, I had to, dear. I thought I could take care of you by myself after the baby...
What baby?
Donnie. Oh, Franny. I used to bring you lots of things when I came home. Watches and flowers and pictures, pretty things. You didn't want to go out. You wouldn't go out, so I brought you things. You said you were lonesome. Remember? So I brought you something once for company. Fran, try to remember. It was the day I came home with something little and soft. Remember? Franny! Oh, Fran! Come see what I've got for you.
What?
Come see, dear.
No.
Oh, please, dear heart. Come and see.
Bring it to me.
Sweetheart, don't just sit in that chair by the window all the time. Please come see.
No, bring it here.
All right. Here. I'll open the box.
What's that?
Well, it's a kitten. Just a tiny little kitten.
What's it for?
To take care of. Something small and soft for you to take care of.
Not me.
Ah, come on, look at her. Isn't she cute?
Take it away.
A tiny little kitty, Fran. Oh, come on, love. Hold her. If you hold her, you'll never want to let her go. She's so tiny. She needs someone to hold her.
I don't want it.
You see? She wants you to hold her.
Don't put her on me.
But Franny, she loves you. Listen to her purr. You see? There. How about that, Franny? What do we name her?
Listen to her purr. So little and soft. Kitty, 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 kitty. There, kitty. Poor kitty. There.
Franny. No. Franny.
There.
You killed her.
Huh?
You just twisted the life out of her. Why? Why?
Cat. Presents and cat. Why don't you bring my Donnie home? If you don't, I'll can you do? You'll see.
And you see, Franny, that's when we decided it was best for you to go to the hospital.
Hospital?
Love, it was better for you.
Safer for you, you mean? You were scared of me, weren't you? Just like you are now.
Honey, you must be getting awfully hungry. Why don't we go down and see if the dining room is open? It's nearly 1:30.
Oh, I'm hungry, all right.
Oh, then good. Let's go downstairs.
I'm hungry, all right, to see you die.
Franny, listen.
I wish I didn't need to use a gun. I wish I could squeeze you like a kitten with my hands, just with my
Would
hands.
you let me see your hands, Franny? They're those pretty hands of yours. Let's send out for a manicurist. She'll make them all beautiful with shiny nails.
I could tear your eyes
And
out.
your hair. Why, we could call the beauty parlor. You could have a permanent, a shampoo. Dear heart, how about a rinse? I can pick up the phone right now.
Chatter. Stop that. Stop
It's
looking
getting
at your
late,
watch.
Fran.
You're not going anyplace.
Franny, can I get a drink of water?
Salivary inhibition. Under fear or tension, the mouth becomes dry. Very interesting, very interesting.
Franny, I need a drink. Let's phone downstairs for a drink.
Let's phone for that. Let's not and say we did. Let's stop stalling. I won't let you do anything now but dodge. This time you won't know when it's going to be. No counting, no games, no 1, 2, 3. Any minute now, you hear? Any minute now.
No, Franny. No, not here.
What's wrong with here? It's very pretty. I haven't been in such a pretty room for a long time.
Let me take you home. Pretty room's there. Look, we can just catch a train or rent a car. We can be home in 3 hours. And we can take it a movie. There's plenty of time.
Not for you. Cliff, honey.
Yes, Fran. Yes, darling.
Look at me, Cliff. That's right.
Oh, I am looking at you, dear heart. See?
Oh, see the poor little man perspire, ruining his Sunday go visiting. Sure.
There's another in my bag.
Sense-
Anything you say, Fran. But let me change my shirt before we go down for dinner. They'll be ringing the dinner bell pretty soon.
You said bell.
I'm sorry. It slipped.
It didn't scare me. Bell. It doesn't bother me. Bell. Ding dong bell. Pussy's in the well.
Why, Franny, that's wonderful. You see? You're all better. You can come home with me. You're all better. You don't have to kill me. No, you don't have to. Not anymore.
Yes, I do, and I'm going to, and it's about time. Oh, you're so clever. Oh, you stalled with your bells and kittens and children.
Don't you remember Donnie? Sure.
There's no Donnie. There never was a Donnie. There's only me and you, and in a second there's not going to be anybody but me. You run out of time, Cliff. I'm going to kill you right now. Donnie, get out of the driveway! Cliff, look out!
Front. Gee, Mr. Simmons, have to put you in 704 this time. Hope you don't mind.
Oh. No, I don't mind.
How are things at the hospital, sir?
Oh, same as always. Would you tell the operator to call me at 1:30?
Suspense. You've been listening to Call Me at 1:30, written for Suspense by Alan Sloan. In a moment, the names of our players and a word about next week's story of Suspense.
Boy, am I glad this day's over. My athlete's foot is killing me. Itches and stings.
Hey, try NP27. Really worked for me.
NP27 treatment roots out athlete's foot, penetrates below skin surface where other remedies can't reach, even into toenails. NP27 liquid stops itch, relieves pain, promotes healthy tissue. NP27 powder guards against new infection. NP27 treatment roots out athlete's foot, or your druggist will refund your money. Featured in tonight's story of Suspense were Elspeth Eric as Fran and Bernard Grant as Cliff.
Also in our cast were Lawson Zerbe, Sarah Fussell, Jack Grimes, Freddie Chandler, and Frank Milano. Suspense is produced and directed by Bruno Zerato Jr. Listen again next week when we return with Night of the Storm by Peter Fernandez, another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. The world's best balanced listening reaches you on this station of the CBS Radio Network.
The thing about suspense from the 60s, the first 2 years of the 60s, is that it was a mixed bag. Sometimes you'd have this wonderful, powerful psychological thriller like you had here with Call Me at Half Past. And then sometimes you'd have something that just was dull as dishwater. This certainly wasn't that. 63 years ago today, Sunday, June 25th, 1961, Suspense, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Lawson Zerbe, one of the background players in that episode, will be featured tomorrow in The Adventures of Frank Merriwell. He starred as Merriwell in that series, which was set in the very early 1900s. Tomorrow we'll hear an episode of The Adventures of Frank Merriwell, the final Fred Allen show, and a pair of shows from Sunday, June 26, 1938, The Shadow and Jack Benny, and an episode of Lum and Abner. That will wrap us up on our Wednesday edition of the show. But coming up next, we will have another episode of Superman and the White Plague.
The Postmaster General of the United States, W. Marvin Watson.
Each year, the mail load increases by billions of letters, parcels, and publications. To handle this tremendous volume of mail, we need a modern postal system, and we're working toward that goal. What can be done now? The easiest, fastest way to improve mail service is to use zip code. With zip code, mail can be sorted faster and more efficiently. Help yourself to better postal service. Use zip code.
You can come visit our webpage at classicradio.stream, classicradio.stream. Always a pleasure to hear from you. If you'd like to support the podcast, that would be greatly appreciated as well. Now we continue with this episode next of Superman and the story about the White Plague. This episode, of course, stars Bud Collyer as both Clark Kent and Superman. Jimmy Olsen is starred by the young man who would play in The Aldrich Family. He would play Homer Brown in that. Jackie Kelk playing Jimmy Olsen. And here we go with The White Plague, an episode of Superman from 83 years ago today, June 25th, 1941.
Presenting the transcription feature, Superman.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from the planet Krypton, who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. Superman, who can leap tall buildings at a single bound, race a speeding bullet to its target, bend steel in his bare hands, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth and justice.
And now to our story. To kill two birds with one stone, Clark Kent planned a well-earned vacation at a logging camp deep in the North Woods, where he hoped to gather material for a story. Jimmy Olsen was accompanying him. However, less than 5 minutes before their train arrived at the town nearest the camp, Kent received a telegram from his editor, Perry White, telling him to return because of trouble at the camp. Since there was no southbound train until the following evening, Kent and Jimmy hired a dog sled and a driver and started for the logging camp just to pay it a visit. En route, a pack of lean, hungry wolves attacked the sled and circled it, howling ravenously.
Get down, Jimmy. Crouch down low.
There's no room behind the sled. The driver's got the dogs huddled there. What's he going to do, Mr. Kent?
Trying to get his rifle to work. It's jammed.
I get the chills just listening to them howl. Look at that one. He's creeping in close on his belly.
They're after the dogs. That's what they want.
Well, they don't look very choosy. Why doesn't that driver say something or do something?
There's nothing he can do unless that gun of his gets working.
Look out, that wolf. He's after the dogs.
Chased him back.
Oh, but not far enough. Do wolves eat people, Mr. Kent?
I don't think so.
But they're not sure.
Now, don't you worry, Jimmy.
Oh, I'm not worried. Just a little nervous. They're all crawling in their bellies now. Their teeth. He's not going to get that gun fixed in time. I know he's not.
Keep your head, Jimmy. You've got work to do. I'm going to send you and the driver down to the logging camp.
What do you mean?
I'll keep the wolves here with that big, juicy steak we were taking out as a gift for Mr. Harmon, the camp boss. They won't leave with the smell of fresh meat around. Here, this must be the package. Now, climb back into the sled.
No, I won't go without you.
Do as I say. Driver, get in the sled. Drive to camp. Fast. Comprende? Oui. All right, off you go.
Mr. Kent, please. Please.
Let's see whether this slab of meat will hold them. Here we are. Now, take a look at this, you beggars. Get a good whip. That's working. They're not following the sled. It's out of sight now. Superman can take over. All right, go ahead. Haul your heads off. I've never tackled 50 wolves before, but this is always the first time. Come and get it. Nice, juicy beefsteak. Ha! Like the looks of it, don't you? Come on, a little closer. A little more. That's it. Now. Oh, no, you don't. Finished. Yeah, that does it. Well, that's one. Now for the rest. Oh, getting ready to charge me all at once, eh? Okay, I'm waiting. I'm ready for you. Come on. 3, 4, 5. Come on, keep coming. 7.
Are you sure you won't have a hot cup of milk, Jimmy?
No, thanks, Miss Harmon.
Now, look, Jimmy, you mustn't eat your heart out worrying. My father's gone to look for Mr. Kent with some of his best men. Buck up.
Well, they'll never find him. There were 50 wolves.
I'm sure there couldn't have been that many.
But I tell you, there were. They were in a circle. Mr. Kent stood there holding up the piece of meat. I could see them coming in closer to get it.
Jimmy, please. Crying won't help. You're much too big a boy to cry.
You'd cry, too, if you had a friend like Mr. Kent. You knew you were never going to see him again.
Who could that be?
How do you do?
Mr. Kent.
Hello, Jim.
Won't you come in?
Thank you.
Mr. Kent, they didn't...
They didn't eat me, if that's what you're trying to say.
I told Jimmy there weren't 50 in the pack, and that they rarely attack humans. I'm Nancy Harmon, and I assume you're Mr. Kent.
But there were 50, maybe more. Isn't that right, Mr. Kent?
More or less. I'm glad to meet you, Miss Harmon. Jimmy, have you been crying?
Oh, no. His eyes are just inflamed from the snow.
Oh, I see.
Where did my father pick you up, Mr. Kent?
Your father?
Yes. When the dog sled pulled in and Jimmy told us what had happened, Dad and 2 of his men went out after you.
Oh, well, I guess I missed them.
How'd you get here?
Oh, I walked.
They tell some tall stories in the North Woods, Mr. Kent, but I think you can go them one better. Paul Bunyan couldn't have walked 5 miles that fast, and they say each step he took measured 100 yards.
Gosh, just like Superman.
And who is Superman?
Some unbelievable pal of Jimmy's who can fly through the air with the greatest of ease. I'm sorry I missed your father, Miss Harmon.
He should be back shortly. Will you have something hot to drink?
No, thanks.
I'll take that milk and cake now if you've still got it.
Of course I have. Be right back.
Oh, I'm sure glad to see you, Mr. Kent. How'd you ever get away from those wolves?
Well, they preferred beefsteak to Clark Kent, that's all. Can't say that I blame them.
You know, you did get here awful fast.
I must have taken a shortcut.
Here you are, Jimmy. Chocolate cake and milk.
Thanks a lot.
Won't you sit down, Mr. Kent?
Oh.
Take Dad's chair near the fire. It's very comfortable.
It sure is. Well, I suppose Jimmy told you what brought us here.
Yes. You see, Dad thought it best to wire Mr. Bartlett and tell you not to come. Because we've been having a little trouble in camp.
What sort of trouble?
Well, I don't like to talk about it, but it's quite serious.
Perhaps I can help.
Very kind of you, but I'm afraid there's nothing you can do. Oh, I'm sorry our wire didn't reach you in time.
Oh, that's quite all right. Jimmy and I enjoyed the train ride, didn't we, Jim? That was the chocolate cake talking. Seriously, though, Miss Harmon, are you sure I can't be of any assistance?
I don't think so. You see, Mr. Kent, logging camps are strange places.
What do you mean?
Well, I guess I might just as well tell you. I'm not supposed to know exactly what's happened, but I do. We've had some mysterious, I suppose you'd call them accidents at the camp, Mr. Kent.
Accidents?
Yes, in a way. We've lost 3 men in a little over a week.
I don't quite understand. You mean 3 men left the camp?
No, they were found dead. At least 2 of them were. The 3rd hasn't been located since the night before last. That's when Dad wired Mr. Bartlett to tell you not to come.
I'm sorry to have to admit this, Miss Harmon, but I still don't understand. 2 men were found dead and a third is missing. Were these men murdered?
No,
or...
that's just it. We don't know. Now, please, Mr. Kent, when you meet Dad, don't let on that I've told you all this.
Well, you really haven't told me anything yet.
I'm coming to the important part.
Oh, well, then go on, Miss Harmon.
Well, about a week ago, one of our French-Canadian loggers disappeared into thin air. His name was Jacques Dupre. He just vanished like a puff of smoke.
Gosh.
Searching party combed the woods for him, and the logging boss, Bill Dawson, finally found him. Frozen to death up in the crotch of a tall tree. A tree he couldn't possibly have climbed without spikes. And he had no spikes on.
Well, how'd he get up there?
Jimmy.
That's what puzzled everyone. How did he get up there? Of course, Dad and Mr. Dawson didn't tell the men where he'd been found. They made up some sort of a story, but the men knew.
What happened to the second man?
He vanished, too, the following night.
What?
He was a big Swedish logger, strong as an ox. Mr. Dawson found him frozen in the river ice.
Frozen solid?
Jimmy, you must keep quiet. You said something about a third man, Miss Harmon.
Yes. Gaston, another French-Canadian. He came in the night before last to talk to Dad.
Yes?
He wanted to quit because of the white plague.
The what?
Well, loggers have a strange superstition, Mr. Kent. They believe that when the snow is deep enough to cover all the roots of a tree and the bottom of the trunk, that no tree should be cut down. They think it's nature's way of protecting the tree until spring, and no man has a right to go against nature.
It's very curious. I've never heard it before.
Of course, it's silly, but some loggers will swear that if trees are felled when snow covers the roots, the white plague visits the camp.
What is the white plague? What does it do?
They say it punishes men who go against nature.
Oh, I see. And Gaston wanted to quit because he was afraid of the white plague, the plague that had carried off the first 2 loggers.
That's right. Well, Dad told him to get a good night's sleep, and he left. Mr. Dawson came in, and Dad was chatting with him when suddenly someone screamed outside. Dad and Mr. Dawson rushed out. It was a bad blizzard. What do you think they found?
What? Jimmy.
They found Gaston had vanished from sight in front of his cabin, and he hasn't been found since.
Oh, gosh. That gives me the creeps.
Well, I suppose all the loggers want to quit.
Yes, and it's terrible because we've been cutting wood for the government, and it's needed badly. Dad's been out of his mind for days.
You said you had trouble, Miss Harmon. You put it mildly. Now, what does the logging boss, Mr. Dawson, say about all this?
Well, he's sticking by Dad, naturally, but I have a funny feeling he believes there's something to this white plague business. The other night I heard him say he wonders about it.
What do you think?
I don't know. First, well, I thought it was just silly superstition, like breaking a mirror or spilling salt, but now I'm puzzled. It's like being in a dark room and knowing that nobody else is in the room with you and that feeling that you're not alone. I guess that doesn't sound very sensible.
Well, you mean like a ghost?
Don't be silly, Jimmy. You know there's no such thing as a ghost. So, Miss Harmon, you really feel there may be something to the white plague?
Oh, no. I'm sure it's just nonsense, but when things keep happening, strange things, it sort of gets you.
Yes, I understand.
I'm not afraid or anything, but
What's that?
someone's at the door. Come in. That's funny.
Here, wait. You better let me open the door.
Be careful, Mr. Kent.
Why, it's a man on the verge of collapse.
Gaston! Catch him, Mr. Kent!
I got him. All right, close the door, Jimmy. All right.
Put him on the couch.
All right. There we are. He's blue with cold.
I'll get some brandy. Rub his wrist.
Mr. Kent, is he alive?
Bring me that blanket, Jimmy.
All right. This one?
Yes. That's it. Thanks.
Here's the brandy, Mr. Kent.
I'm afraid it won't do any good, Miss Harmon.
You mean...
Yes. He just drew his last breath.
Mystery piled on mystery. Where did Gaston return from, so exhausted that death reached him almost as his frozen knuckles rapped against the door? Did the strange secret of the white plague die on his lips? This is only the beginning of a Northwoods adventure more gripping than anything you have ever heard before. Don't miss even one thrilling episode.
Don't forget, tune in again for the next thrilling episode with Superman.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
From 83 years ago, June 25th, 1941, Superman, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. 1938, our destination tomorrow with episodes of The Shadow and Jack Benny. Also, Fred Allen, Frank Merriwell, and Lum and Abner. We will see you on Wednesday for our next edition of Classic Radio Theater. I'm Wyatt Cox.